Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Feardromida. I'm your host, StevyJoe,
I'm your host, Announcer.
and if you're looking at the screen, you probably would have realized that we have another person. Bringing in our third host.
Hello, I am Waifu the Bard.
Now, Waifu, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm the only one in the group that's married. I'm in the military.
Damn,
What?
didn't have to air us out like that.
We're a bunch of dudes reading scary stories on a podcast. I feel like people could have already implied that. like,
Or I should specify, the only one married to a woman.
hey now.
Yeah, Stevie, how's your husband?
Hey. I don't like this narrative that we're starting.
Yeah. I'm a big gamer subs enthusiast.
What gamer
Yeah.
subs flavor are you drinking right now?
Right now I'm just drinking water
Ah,
because I haven't had enough today. But I
that's
can
smart.
get some acid rain.
He does that?
What, drinks water?
Yeah.
I know, I'm surprised too.
Yeah, dude. I drink water all the time.
Yeah, so he's our third host. He's going to be showing up a lot more. And that means that obviously you guys aren't going to have to deal with the pain of it, but I'm going to have to draw in a new background so that way we can shove them in. But other than that, it's going to be great. And so today we are going over Campfire Creatures. That's what this episode's going to be called. And it's basically just different stories about different creatures. Now, a very common-ish ideal about creepypastas is that they're sort of the internet urban legends. So, you guys know about urban legends and campfire stories and tales like that, right? Scary
Yeah.
stories to tell in the dark. You guys remember that from every single book fair we've ever had?
For real, man.
Like the one story about the old it's not old lady. The one story about the lady who has the dog and whenever she's scared at night, she like pets the dog and it licks her hand only to find out that like the dog's been decapitated and there's the dude hiding underneath her bed and shit.
I sound like that dude for real. Huh?
Oh man.
And we've just lost 20 views. There goes all 17
How
of
are
our
we
subscribers.
How are we supposed to get a Raycon
gonna have to
sponsorship in this environment?
We're gonna have to edit that out.
No, we're keeping that. That's your first official joke of the
Oh.
story. That's the first impression people are going to have of you, and you're going to live with it.
I'm dying.
So, other urban legends. Creepypasta always has had a sort of urban legend feel to it, where everybody tries to pander their story as being completely real within reality and all that stuff. And part of those stories is the subgenre of different monsters. Now, people bring monsters from real life folklore, like Wendigos, skinwalkers, vampires, obviously werewolves. Actually, I don't think there are too many werewolf stories. It's mostly been exchanged
There
out.
probably are. You probably just haven't looked hard enough.
Probably not. Now,
About like any off the top of my head werewolf creepypastas.
well,
Twilight.
that's.
I don't think Twilight counts.
I'm going to beat you with a hammer.
No, the only reason why it's a creepypasta is because it gives you the unnerving feeling of who the hell wrote this.
That's fair.
Okay, so I feel like
Hold on, someone.
the only reason why Announcer has that sentiment is I forced him to read Jeff the Killer, and he was traumatized by that. So
Remember one time
There was
going to my
someone
parents' house?
at this base I was at. One of my buddies. He almost forced me to watch the whole Twilight series with him.
it sounds about
Did
right
you
for the Navy.
Did he
Anyway.
get discharged?
So, for our first story of these campfire cryptids or creatures, it'll we're going to be using cryptids and creatures interchangeably. We're going to start off with an actual cryptid. This being Waifu's favorite. So, I'm going to hand it off to him so he can introduce this story.
So the story we're going to be reading today is one of my personal favorite cryptids. It has a whole monument in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. It's Mothman. So the story we are reading today is called Mothman. And I guess I'll start.
Yep,
Perhaps you
and
remember it.
I'm just going to put the caveat down a little bit. We're going to have you do the narration, and then if there are like any, oh my goodness, my ad blocker is working overtime on this website. And then if we're going to have like any characters say like any lines, me or announcer will go in and say the lines, just so that way you don't have to do everything with the
Say
story.
every line.
Yeah.
Yep. All
So
right.
it's not just us in like lab coats staring at you in a room.
Oh, he mispronounced a consonant. He hanged a participle. I don't even know what a fucking participle is, but
Isn't it like the type of angel?
Aren't you supposed to be the smarter one out of the three of us?
I don't know, man.
Isn't isn't that what women used as like umbrellas, but they're not really umbrellas?
A
What?
parasol?
Yeah,
I don't
that.
even know what that is.
That's funny.
Okay, let's just start reading the story.
It's
Look,
okay.
some
You're both
fancy
a little
words. My head
special.
hurts.
Let's just start the story, please.
So, Mothman. Perhaps you remember it. Perhaps you don't. Either way, it doesn't matter. After all, I do. In the winter of 2011 to 12, there's a string of people who disappeared without a trace on Newfoundland Island. They all lived in remote groups of about 20 people, barely qualifying as villages. They had all gone outside in blizzards, and everyone believed they had wandered off into a whiteout and got lost in the storm. None of their bodies had ever been found, and the fact that more than 2 feet of snow had fallen on top of the bodies didn't help. Anyway, on to the portion of the story that involves me specifically. I lived in a small community of about 37 people. One of the missing peoples was a member of our small hamlet. It was in one of the worst storms of that January, and despite our warnings, the man in question pushed past us like a man possessed, screaming something about the need for food and needing to go up. All save 5 of us never saw that man again. They were the lucky ones. By the third day after he had left, it was light enough and clear enough for us to go outside. We were in the middle of a valley surrounded by 2 high ridges, and the snow was about 4 feet high when we went outside. However, when we cleared away most of the snow from the single road going through the town, we saw that the snow was only that deep in the middle of the valley, and it was manageable on the mountains. Given his previous statements, we also thought that this was a reasonable place to begin looking. 5 of us returned to our respective homes to get mountaineering equipment and weapons. As we left the comparative safety of the village, we climbed up the mountain and were approaching the peak. Amazing game, by the way. When suddenly something leapt out of nowhere onto one of the members of our troop. I pulled the 358 Magnum revolver from the holster I had strapped to my side and shot the creature from the back of my companion. The bullet had went straight between the eyes of the bastard and could see that it was a wolf. The creature fell limply off the man as he stood up, shaking the snow off himself. I could hear the gunshot echoing between the walls of the valley. I knew I had made a mistake as soon as the corpse fell off him. There were waves of snow traveling at unbelievable speeds down the mountain towards us. The noise of the wall of snow was deafening, and I yelled to all to brace for impact. I saw 2 of us swept away by the snow, and I hunkered down as I experienced a limbo like nothing anyone who has not been in the position could know. I had to keep my eyes shut as tight as I could, and the moments when I did open my eyes, all I could see was a blank, white nothingness. I could hear nothing because my ears were filled with snow, and eventually I realized that the movement had ceased. I knew what I had to do in these circumstances, and I released my bladder and felt it move towards my feet. I breathed a silent thank you that it hadn't been the other way around. I heaved my hands around to my head and started to slowly dig upwards. The progress was slow, but I eventually clambered out of a small hole of thick snow caved in behind me.
Hello?
I yelled, despairing. Suddenly, I noticed a flash of bright orange down the mountain about 500 yards away. It was Teller, a man from New York who had come and lived in the village for about 2 months. I didn't know much about him, but I liked him nonetheless. He was wearing a high visibility coat, and I was glad of it. He was waving and yelling, and I saw the avalanche rumbling on behind him. Put on the snowshoes, and walked briskly towards him. I pulled him out of the snow and helped him put his snowshoes on. We decided to walk together on the same kind of level, looking for other members of our group. Firstly, we found the body of one of the group. His airways were full of snow, and we decided he had suffocated,
Nasty way to go.
commented Teller.
But I've seen worse.
How so?
I asked him.
I served in Vietnam. I'm a medic, you understand.
I was about to tell him I did when I saw something that caught my eye. There was a person lying on his side about 300 meters above us. I started up the mountain, Teller following me. It was Jackson, the fourth member of the group. He was unconscious but alive. We sat there wasting precious time as we waited for Jackson to wake up. Suddenly he started coughing. The lumps of snow come up along with a small amount of blood. We trekked on for about another half an hour, looking for the two missing people we were looking for. It was getting dark and there was the sound of wolves baying for blood, so we started down the mountain. It was discouraging, to say the least, having lost two members of our party and not having found the first missing person. That last point was about to change. All right. Before I continue, should I read the parts? Like I'm the narrator, because I'm
Yeah.
narrating his experience. So I should
Mhm.
should I do the hello, how so?
No, that can still be voiced by us.
Yeah,
we'll
but it sounds
do
like there's gonna be a third voice, and it'll sound weird if.
We can just change. We we can do
I can voice
every
act.
accents.
All right, let's do that then.
So real quick, so far it seems like because Mothman is typically considered a harbinger or bad omen of things to come, right?
He said this.
Yes.
And so it's taking a sort of slow burn to it, even if the story is estimated to be about 7 minutes of reading. It's taking a nice slow burn to this, really only mentioning that other villages have been disappearing. Similar to what happened to the Roanoke colony. I think there was another colony that ended up disappearing, but similar to what happened to those things, where people just kind of wander off and then disappear, never to be found again. And then it's going into the perspective of what's that same thing happening to this colony. So it might be going
Yes,
off the
but in some other stories about Mothman, because this one's making it seem like Mothman is the exact cause for these disappearances.
yeah.
When others just say he's there, when people see him, they know like, oh, something bad is about to happen.
Yeah, that's like the two common sentiments. It's either he's there to warn people of it happening or he's there to cause it happening.
Yes.
I think it's also like really entirely depends the person, the character that they're writing on too. Like if like this guy is probably like, wow, this thing lured my friend off
It's also
when it
really
was
ambiguous about the year because it's
2011 through 2012.
never mind.
You know, the
It was
first
probably
three words.
it was probably yeah, so the winter of 2011 to 2012. So it started in probably December, November area, and then
Yeah.
now it's
And
January.
then moved out to
So if you guys are ready.
Yeah.
Ready?
The sun was setting behind the crest of the ridge when I saw a red tinge on the surface of the snow. Pointed it out to Jackson and Teller. We started digging down through the snow. We only had dug about 2 inches before we saw the lifeless, frozen face of Farmer, the original missing person. He was almost white as the snow he lay on. It wasn't as if he was just cold. It was more if he had the color sucked out of him. We excavated the rest of him from the icy robes that surrounded him. and discovered the gruesome fact of his death. His chest had been ripped open with inhuman strength, and his heart, which was clearly visible, was intact, save for a single hole punched straight through the middle of the organ. When we inspected the other wounds, such as the ones on his hands, defense wounds, Taylor said, they appeared to have been made with claws, and they were absolutely devoid of liquid blood. We knew that this couldn't have been done by any non-intelligent being. The wound of the heart, the wound on the heart, and the fact that when the chest was ripped open there was no damage made to the heart confirmed this. But the wounds on the arms and the act of sucking blood from the heart seemed to deny that this was human. We were right. We knew that we couldn't take a body with us, and it was approaching complete darkness. We all had mag lights with us. We all also had weapons with us. A 12-16 shotgun, and then 15 rifle, and my 358 Magnum. But we couldn't see whatever had killed Farmer. We had to take the flight option. We left Farmer's body, skiing. We had chosen to change from snowshoes to skis after the light started to go. We were now in the shadow of the opposing mountain wall. We had to switch from our heavy handheld mag lights to smaller, less powerful LED headlamps. It was a horrific experience. We could all feel the eyes of some all-seeing, malignant presence watching all over us. Jackson wasn't looking where he was skiing, and he suddenly went over, tripping on a rock that was on the top of the snow somehow, almost as if it had been placed there. As the light of his headlamp swung round, I caught sight of a creature. It leapt on Jackson, clawing at the arms he had put in front of himself. It reached towards his chest and caught hold of both of Jackson's shoulders, and using a dexterous claw on its foot, not unlike that of a velociraptor, we watched in palpable horror as the beast used the slit to open the flesh in the middle of the chest and the sternum. With immense bestial strength and a roar of animal rage, he thrust his hand inside the wound and pulled them away from each other, creating an explosion of blood, and leant forward towards Jackson's still beating heart. I should probably back up for a moment and describe the creature. It's about 7 foot tall and had light gray skin stretched taut over its bones and muscles. Its eyes reflected red in the light, and it had claws on its hands and feet. The claws on its hands were of a significant. The claws on his hand. Fuck.
Don't worry. Don't worry. This is worded.
This
It
happens to
really-
everybody.
Yeah, it's worded
Thank
weird.
God this is being edited out. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, most
Yeah.
of it will.
No, it's not just 4 hours of us going, fuck! Damn it!
Maligit, maling,
Flankers.
Did you say
All right.
plankers?
Yes.
Oh my god.
I like that I can just have a mutant Putin.
All right, let's continue. The claws on its hands were significantly smaller size than the talons of its feet, presumably to help maneuverability. But there are two things that made it even more frightening. Its mouth was like a rotting hole in its face, ragged at the edges with a needle-sharp proboscis, which was revealed when one flap of ragged flesh was raised up. I have left, however, the most extraordinary feature until last. On his back were two large wings, each bigger than me. They were like butterfly wings, but more drab, like moths. Anyway, Jackson was still screaming as the proboscis of that wretched bastard was still approaching the heart. Time seemed to slow down as I thought back about the missing peoples. I realized that the creature was responsible for the disappearance and death of them all. He had disappeared every 3 days, which had to be how often he had to feed. And that was when I knew what I had to do if we were to have any chance of success against it. I reached for the holster strapped to my leg and lined up the sights of the 358 Magnum. I pulled the trigger on the revolver. I shot Jackson in the heart. It screamed out and leapt at me. I shot off the remaining 4 rounds of the Magnum. One of them must have hit his stomach or something, as gallons of human blood spilt forth from the wound. The other 3 wounds oozed a translucent blue liquid. It tried to take off, but Teller shredded one of its wings with a couple of slugs from the 1216. I ran to Jackson, tossing away my Magnum and instead picking up the M15 rifle from beside him. The beast, though injured, though injured, screamed with a last roar and rushed Teller. I shot the beast in the back, and a fountain of blue splattered Teller's face. It fell over, and Teller stood up, looked down the barrel of the 1216, and shattered the skull of the beast.
Why didn't they just
We looked
shoot?
at each.
Why didn't they just shoot it?
They did.
Well, they're. He's like, all
They
right,
yeah.
first
Story. It
round
looked like it
for
made it.
Jackson.
Well, that's in case they failed to kill it. I think.
It's
Jackson wasn't surviving anyway.
Yeah,
His
there was
chest
no way
might
he
have.
was gonna live.
No.
With his chest ripped open. That's hard to do even with modern medicine on anything that isn't like a precision cut. Because I'm assuming if it can see the heart, it had broken his sternum in half.
hmm And
That's
more
fair.
than likely damaged his lungs.
Okay, I'll concede to that.
Although they made it sound weird, because the story makes it look like that Teller looked down the barrel of his own shotgun
And
and
then
then
shot himself.
shot himself.
Yeah, I was
Kurt
like, why is he?
Cobain POV.
He's like aiming the stock at the monster. He's just so confused.
Avast ye beast!
There's got to be some recorded death out there like that.
I
Or guy
highly doubt it.
No,
I don't. You know how
There's
large the internet is?
There's 8 billion people on this planet. Oh, sorry. My bad. There could be more because scientists severely miscalculate the population of Earth.
All right, we ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
We looked at each other, shook our heads, and, in silence, walked back down the hill towards the village. The next day, we went back to where the bodies of all 4 people had been. We found them all, but the body of the Mothman, I had searched the web for similar creatures, had disappeared. His blood was still there, and we sent samples of that to labs. After the burials of the dead I moved, Teller had had a job offer as a surgeon in Point Pleasant. How ironic. And I decided to move with him. After all, I had no family there, and I wanted a fresh start. Besides, Teller was my only real friend, and the only one who would believe my story. But this was not the end. I figured that it has a level of telepathic power which it used to make the victims come to him, and he had a family. I think as he was dying, he sent an image of me and Teller to his family, and I think they want revenge. But for now, they are happy just watching and waiting for the opportune moment.
And that was The Mothman by
Mothhead.
Mophead. Man, we really need to get better about saying the author's name before.
Moffat.
So,
I liked it. It was good. It was just
yeah, it
slow burn.
very open and shut. I feel like they didn't really play as hard into the idea of um
Him
the
being
moth
an omen
him being an omen or a bringer of
or a
bad
harbinger.
luck. They they more or less went a siren route where it uses telepathic messages to lure people into the mountains, which could work, but it's also not really Mothman. Like they don't really play into the whole bad luck of what Mothman is.
Yeah, I've definitely seen better Mothman stories. I forget the name of it, but there's this one on YouTube.
Well, we could definitely find it and read that one. Compare
Yeah.
notes. Overall, I don't think it's bad. It's a great monster story. It has all the bits for it. It's got mystery. It's got very. It has a very straightforward way that the monster kills people. It's more of a vampire story than anything, just with instead of a
Yeah.
That's
bat, it's a
definitely what it
moth.
sounded like.
Cause like the single puncture to the heart and no visible blood, that's reminiscent of like a mosquito or something, where it's like the
Mosquito
proboscis.
Man.
Mosquito Man.
Mosquito
Yeah, that's what
Man.
this is. It's Mosquito Man. It's
Yeah,
not
it's not
Mothman.
really Moth. The only thing that makes it Mothman is the moth wings.
It is it being a man with moth wings.
Yes,
Again, I wouldn't say it's a bad story. It's not a Mothman story.
Yeah.
I'd have to agree. I'd rate it about a
We
4
we
out of
don't really
10.
do ratings. We do rankings.
We
So we
should do
have
ratings though. That is a good idea.
when we rank it, we'll do ratings as well. And then while we're doing that, we can also sit down and rate the others.
We don't. I don't think we have to.
If nothing else, we're just going to stick with the ranking. But
Yeah. One thing I find funny about this is like we found them all, but the body of the Mothman. I had searched the web for other similar creatures.
that was one thing I found a little humorous throughout the story. Is he would go off on a tangent and then just go, anyway, back to the most traumatizing event of my life.
I mean, that
shot
sounds like something
Jackson.
I would do. I'd be
hmm
describing some traumatic event, get off on a side tangent that slightly relates to it, and then it's like, hey, back to some trauma.
Anyway, I
I
shot
guess it was
Jackson in the
just
heart.
I guess it was just how
Right?
casual they were about it.
I've killed a man
Like
and
they're
watched
just
plenty others die.
it's like they're just
Anyway,
sitting there just kind of like, well, I killed a man. That took way too much effort to open that.
I hope you know it made like a on our end.
Very quiet.
Yeah.
yeah.
I bought the new Mountain Dew Honeydew flavor. I didn't know what to expect, but I can't say I'm disappointed with it. It just, yeah,
Are you happy with it though?
I'm indifferent. It's fine.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I just kind of wish, like, they dropped Point Pleasant, and that's where Mothman. Is that where Mothman currently resides, or is that where just most of the
Um,
sightings are
that's
these days?
where that's where Mothman was originally sighted. So I can quickly look up.
So I know one of the first sightings of Mothman was like an elderly couple who were driving, and then they saw him like fly
It
across the
wasn't
road.
an elderly couple.
It
It
wasn't.
wasn't an elderly couple. It was
All right.
a group of four, either young adults or just teenagers,
Okay.
with the first reported sighting being in 1966.
Okay.
And they stopped the year after, when the Silver Bridge collapsed in December 1967,
Was
which
that
resulted in 46 deaths.
was that also in Point Pleasant, or where is the Silver Bridge? I know it's in West Virginia, but where is it necessarily?
It's in a town.
Oh no.
Let me.
Shit.
Silver Bridge collapse.
The
Just
Mothman
Google this real
statue
quick.
is not exactly what I thought it would look like.
The
Yeah,
Silver Bridge
connecting Point
officially
Pleasant,
named the
West
Point
Virginia.
Pleasant Bridge.
Yeah.
It's in Point Pleasant.
So it connected Point Pleasant to Gallipolis, Ohio.
Or
Okay.
Gaylopolis.
Waifu, since Mothman is your favorite uh, monster, have you ever been to Point Pleasant or seen the Mothman statue?
No, I really, really want to though.
Ah,
I think I'm
man.
gonna take me and my wife there someday.
20 likes and we'll do a vlog of everyone going to Point Pleasant because I really
Likes.
want to have a planned vacation or something.
20
That'd
likes,
actually be
and
sick.
we'll waste a lot of money to go to a statue.
For real.
A statue. One of the funniest facts I know about the Mothman statue. So you know how
Bro was
brass
caked up.
statues will like change color over time?
Yeah.
But
Yes.
if
when
there's
you
like a
rub it
lot
too
of
much, 'cause you're rubbing
interaction
the
with it,
patina off.
it'll like stay that nice gold brassy color.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's happening to the Mothman statue. I don't think it's brass. I think it's like a stainless steel
It
statue.
looks. Yeah.
But the whole like it's shiny because it's getting like a lot of interaction and stuff. That's happening to its butt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
dude,
everybody's just
caked
smacking the
up.
cake. My goodness. Why do you just have? Why were you able to
'Cause I'm
find a
looking it
photo of
up.
that so quickly?
Because I've been scrolling through images. There's also this image which I don't know the context of.
I just saw this image too.
Donald Trump and the Mothman.
I love the Mothman.
I'm a harbinger of doom. That bridge is about to collapse. I'm not
I'm
saying
the
that
Mothman.
I'm the one making it collapse, but there is a potential chance that that bridge is going to collapse. This is not
This
a
is about
threat.
to
This
blow
is a
up
warning.
Just because of that joke. This whole podcast is about to blow up because of that joke.
What?
The whole making Trump look bad because of the Silver Bridge.
Also, there's this postcard of it.
I swear, if it's just a postcard of... Okay, I thought that was...
No, it does include his
He
ass.
forgot.
Oh,
Yeah,
it
he
does.
just
Okay.
looked. He just looked. Yo, dude, if you slap Mothman's cake, you get good luck. Dude, I'm
It
about to be the
literally
luckiest
specifies,
man
don't
alive.
forget to touch his butt.
Yeah.
I want you guys to know I'm about to be the luckiest man alive.
Oh my lord. They
He's
need
gonna
get
walk
this
up to
Mothman
it and-
statue out of there.
Oh my god.
And keep in mind, all of these images I have found with just going Mothman statue. I'm not like
You're not
Mothman.
specifying like Mothman.
no. Nope.
That's actually great.
Who's the person that made this statue? I want to know. Who?
I'll look it up
made
right
it?
now.
Holy shit. Vault Boy and Mothman.
Bob Roach. I want to know Bob Roach's mindset behind giving Mothman that ass.
Bob Roach.
made a moth statue.
I want to see
Don't
his
you guys
Roach
see the
statue.
irony? Yeah, where's his?
Where's the Roach statue, Bob?
Look, it's Vault Boy.
So, oh my goodness. We got... So do people still have sightings, or is it like those sightings of Bigfoot where it's obviously just a crack addict and they're like, yeah, guys, I swear, I saw Mothman, he stole my catalytic converter. He stole yours
does
too,
seem-
that's why it's not there. Don't check.
Oh,
Just-
yes. An ancient doing the old-fashioned way before there was an AI.
So when I look it up, it says, oh, in June 2022 in Rockford Canal,
There was
one
a
in
Mothman
Kane
sighting?
County, Illinois in 2024.
Okay.
And then there's a post on Reddit, which I mean, it's probably
Yeah, that's-
false because of this,
Yeah.
because it's
What do you mean?
on Reddit.
Recent
but,
Mothman sightings?
But they
Is-
have mostly been in Chicago rather than West Virginia.
Dude, what is Mothman doing in Chicago? Warning people of an ominous threat. Yeah, he's in Chicago.
Getting one of those hella good cheesesteaks, man. Is that what Chicago
Probably
is known
committing
for?
crime in O Block.
No, that's Philly.
Dog,
Mothman is in O Block and he's coming for your catalytic converter.
dog, what the hell is going on in O Block? And it's just a picture of Mothman in the middle of the street.
There's a whole Mothman Lives website.
Mothman, what are you doing with my catalytic converter? I'm trying to sell it for money of specific types, but the clap of my ass cheek keeps alerting the hood rats.
So there is a whole website.
There's a Mothman website. That doesn't
Are you
surprise me.
talking about the map hub?
No, it's called www.mothmanlives.com.
Okay, because I'm looking at a map hub one.
What's like the content?
So I mean, it has who is Mothman, who is John Keel, Mary Hyre, Gray Barker, who are the Men in Black, the Silver
One,
Bridge, sightings, artwork, merchandise, the TNT area, UFOs,
This
the facts, links, and contacts.
ooh, no way. Mothman was spotted near the Fukushima nuclear power plant in 2011. You know, the one that went.
well, I'm
Yes.
assuming if it's talking about a power plant disaster, it would do that.
Maybe
Chernobyl.
Mothman was at Chernobyl. Yeah.
Yeah, no. I'm looking at a map. There's a map hub and it's Mothman sightings, where you can add it onto a map. Um, Chernobyl, Kiev blast,
Okay, I feel like they're just doing that one for the bit because
Moscow, 1999. Let's go with another one here.
was he at
Southeast
Tiananmen
Georgia,
Square?
2022. No, not
No.
So
seeing
there's
two.
one in Japan,
That
one in
honestly
Russia,
that makes
one in
sense because
Ukraine.
nothing happened there. You know, that's what I heard.
Yeah. We
Southeast
are
Georgia,
not getting any
2022.
Chinese videos.
Well, we already kind
Nobody's
of
watching.
isolated Russia in the first episode, so let's just get all the
Yeah, dude, a
communist
lot of
countries
them
out.
recently have been in Chicago. Probably more than
Bad news
probably
if
more
you
than
live in
30.
Chicago, I guess.
Dude, imagine if like the news based some of their stuff off of like Mothman sightings, and they're like, "Well, if you're in Chicago, I
Yeah,
got
so
bad
the
news for you."
only
That's not going to be good for you, I guess.
so there's mainly in the United States on closer to the East Coast. One in Ukraine, close to the border of Belarus. One in Russia, in Moscow, and then one more in Japan, at close to Fukushima. It's like right on the coast of Fukuba. I'm probably butchering it, which is
Probably.
okay.
We're Americans. Nobody cares. I will bring up a previous point about the Mothman story. It is very interesting that it uses like psychic messages. I, that is the one unique part about this
Yes,
was it
that is.
uses like psychic messages to lure people out
And it
because
also states that there are more than one.
mhm. Most stories with like cryptids in the woods and all that stuff, they usually do uh, vocal manipulation, like sounding like a person
Yes,
who needs help or sounding like a family member or
a
changing their
loved
appearance
one.
to look like a family member or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And typically, most of that stuff comes from skinwalkers and wendigos. I forget which one specifically does like the vocal manipulation and all that stuff. I'm pretty sure it's a skinwalker. I think wendigos are just can. I'm not entirely certain. It's been a while since I looked into either.
Skinwalkers. Skinwalkers are Native American.
Both of them are Native American.
Yes, you're right.
Like our next creature, the Anasazi Goatman.
Can I read this one?
Yes, I'm going to make you read this one.
Before we get into that, I'm gonna go use the bathroom.
So I'm looking at all these sightings. There's a bunch near O'Hare Airport in Chicago.
Let's take a break now. Goodbye.
But
I'll be back.
All right.
so there's cargo employee. Airline pilot reports large black humanoid-like creature. Air traffic controller report. Same thing.
Okay, so that's another interesting thing. Most people try to describe Mothman as like a black shadowy figure with red eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Mothman, with the original accounts, is always described as a pale or white figure.
Yeah.
And
There's also
it's theorized that with that original sighting of the teenagers driving down the road and see it fly over, it was during wintertime. And the theory is that they saw what was actually just a very large snow owl because there is I forget what his name was, but there was a snow owl that was being tracked by ornithologists, and it was in the same area at the time of that sighting. And so they theorized that it was actually just that owl flying over their car when they saw it. Because that's the other thing. I'm pretty sure Mothman is never described having arms. It's just a torso with wings.
I really like the opening of this. It's just like, be black.
We're 100% getting canceled this episode. Why do I just hear Black Sabbath playing in the background?
Don't worry about it. Evil minds that plot destruction. Sorcerers of death.
I'm watching a furry beheading video.
No way, said it to me.
Walking home one night. Mugger comes out of nowhere. Give me your wallet. Unload my FN 57 on him instead. Realize I used 20 rounds of 5.7 by 28 millimeter ammo. My face when it would have been cheaper to just hand over my wallet.
Sorry, a second the boo boys hit the tower.
Oh, he's back.
Sorry, y'all. I just
Back.
dropped some generational brown.
I did not need to. I'm gonna brown. What?
Shit, sick.
All right, announcer had an opportunity to make the fart noise, but we're going to move on now.
It's too late.
Too late. It's not funny
Sorry,
anymore.
I was watching another stupid. Get off of my chair!
Well, it's time to put the phone down because I hope everybody enjoyed that break. Because now we're getting into talking about the Anansi Goatman. Now, from what I understand, the Anansi Goatman was always originally just a creepypasta story, but the Goatman itself is like an actual proper cryptid. It's just not associated with the Anansi.
And it is originally from 4chan.
Yep, it's from 4chan. A lot of.
This is a long story.
Yeah, but so's the other one. So we'd have more time if you didn't spend all of it shitting. But
Generational brown, dude. I'm telling you.
all right.
It's like I was giving birth.
I don't need to know about this.
Too bad.
So,
I was thinking of you while doing it.
A lot of creepypasta monsters originally came from 4chan. The Something Awful forum spawned Slenderman. There is a different thread that created the Rake, as well as a creature that we are going to be talking about later. And there was a 4chan story created on Friday, September 28th, 2012, about the Anansi Goatman. An announcer, you said that you were going to be reading this one?
Yes.
Alright, and then Waifu and I will be covering the quotes.
Oh, no, hold on.
Hold on to... Did he just leave too? Get
I
back
had to
here!
yell at my dogs. I had to yell at my dogs. They're fighting. You guys can't be fighting while...
Can't fight on the podcast, that's meant for us. We're supposed to be the dysfunctional people.
Oh my god, he's gonna do it.
I thought that was you for a second.
No, that was Ryder.
Put the phone down. Put the phone down. This is for my safety. Put the phone down.
Why are you saying that?
I know nothing about the Anansi Goatman.
That doesn't surprise me. You know nothing about creepypasta, period.
All right, ready? Ready? We all ready?
Yep.
Be 16. Be black and have a family down in Alabama. They farm and own a huge amount of land down in Huntsville. Uncle owns a big house and a bunch of trailers they put out in the woods for hunting or camping. Down south cousins suggest that we go out there to camp. No, I'm a city kid from Chicago, so they tease the fuck out of me. Collect food, kill a pig and some chickens, and bring necessities to camp out for a few days. We went to the camp, and it's obvious something is weird. Air
Burp.
has this weird electric smell, like right before a storm, like ozone. We think nothing of it and unpack and go down to a little creek to swim for a few hours. All of a sudden, some older white guy and a white teenager come out of the bushes. He has a shotgun in the crook of his arm and says hello and asks us what we are doing this far back in the woods. Tell him about my uncle who he knows and say we're camping out. He tells us we need to be real careful out here and stick together because there was a big animal in the woods. His son, who is my age, asks if he can stay and hang out with us. He says okay. I'm going to stop green texting because the story is fairly long. The format is to write in. So we end up playing football, dicking around with me. There's the white kid, Tanner, 5 of my cousins, and then 4 of their friends in total. In total, there were 5 girls and 6 boys. We're all around 15, 17, and we ended up dicking the day away. Sorry, I just had to.
What a pause. Congrats.
We just ended dicking.
What? Why'd you put more emphasis on it?
Eventually, we head back to the camp and pull out some stuff for a campfire. Even though the trailers both had kitchenettes, Tanner says that his family's property sits up against my uncle's. He wants to run home and ask his dad if he can come out camping with us. My cousin Rooster says he's going to go with him since it's going to get dark soon. One of the girls also wants to tag along. It's about 7 o'clock, and it's starting to get pretty dark. They grab flashlights and take the trail towards Tan's property. The rest of us chill. We make s'mores, drink, and kiss on the girls. Whoa. About 30-40 minutes later, there's the smell of ozone again. You could notice it over the scent of the fire. We had started this really nasty coppery smell, like right after you've had a nosebleed and then stopped it. It wasn't exactly like dried blood, but it was that metallic back of your throat smell. We immediately think that it's some kind of electrical malfunction, or that someone left a hot plate on or some shit. We search the trailers and nothing's on, but we can smell it.
I'd just like
All
to
of a
point
sudden-
out that the line, we make s'mores, drink, and kiss on the girls had like the same vibe of us all calling her girlfriends and wives to prove that they exist.
You say wives plural. I'm the only one who's married.
Wife, whatever.
The
had this-
wife.
You know what?
It had the same vibe of all of us just calling our significant others to prove they exist, and it's like, yeah, we totally just kissed on the girls, you know, like.
You come over to my
No,
house.
no, we're in the middle of recording right now.
I have a question.
Bro's about to propose mid podcast.
Can we
All of
finish
us-
the recording
yeah.
first?
Yes. All of a sudden, we can hear people booking it down the path towards us. Rooster, Tan, and the girl all came running into the clearing, out of breath. And they didn't even break stride. They all ran into the trailer right by where the fire is. We all get the fuck out of there and in the trailers. They end up calming down. Even Rooster is crying. His fucking eyes out at this point. God, this is really weirdly spaced. Sorry.
You're the one
They end up
spacing
calming
it out
down.
weirdly.
They all end up calming down. Even Rooster is crying his fucking eyes out at this point. All the while, the fire is guttering lower and lower. So my other cousins say, fuck it, and are about to go outside to get the generator out of a shed between the trailers. Tanner goes, "Fuck!" Oh,
Yeah. Fuck no, lock the front door. Ain't nobody else going outside.
he's been crying too. His eyes are bloodshot and puffy, and his pants are dirty as shit. He goes on to tell us that they went up to his house. His father said sure, he could go out camping, but to make sure that they were careful on the way back and that maybe they should take one of the hunting rifles just in case. Evidently, Tanner had seen something in their yard a few days before. One of their pigs had been ripped up and half eaten. He assumed it was some big cats or coyotes, even though they didn't usually fuck live animals. Sorry.
What?
There's a lot of cursing in this. Even though they don't usually fuck with live animals. That's what I meant. Tanner went upstairs, packed his stuff, and told his dad that they would be okay without the rifle, because coyotes avoid people. Then they started walking back towards where we were camping. Rooster finally stops crying and shaking. The girl already had, but was now just staring out the window with a dumb look on her face. He says they both had gotten halfway into the woods towards the camp when they'd started to hear shit in the forest. It was almost pitch black by this time, so they weren't sure at first what the fuck it was. The girl said that she heard something in the bushes right off the trail. They all beamed their flashlights over there, and there was something standing in the woods, in a little hollow. Rooster said that they shouted at him and told him that he was scaring the fuck out of them, and what a dick he was. He says that's when he realized that the guy was facing away from them. They kept walking. They started smelling a nasty coppery ozone smell. They say that they look off into the forest on the opposite side, and there's a dude standing there too, backward, slightly closer to the path. So then I start power walking, and Tan keeps going,
I should have taken the fucking rifle.
As they're telling the story, the smell is super strong, even inside the cabin. They say that after they started walking faster, a kind of low gibbering had began coming from both sides of the wood. As they booked it back to the trailer, the girl said she flashed her light out to the side of them and saw something jerking itself through the wood.
What?
Oh my god!
It's what? It's doing what?
Hold on,
It's what now?
Wait, what point are you guys at? Hold on. Oh, there it is. So,
Something jerking itself through the woods.
I don't think they mean, like,
I'm jaking it. I'm jaking it. I'm jaking it.
I'm
I'm
goatmanning it.
anaesthizing it.
Goatmanning it.
I don't think, like, jerking as in...
Jerking off? Yeah, no.
Yeah,
obviously.
no, it's obviously, like, jerking movements. Like, it's walking in a weird gait.
But the verbiage that this guy is using.
Yeah, he uses some very interesting wording.
It's 4chan. It's 4chan. What
It's
can we expect?
4chan. Ah, yeah, we were all just out in the woods dicking around, dicking around like a couple of guys do in the woods, just dicking around, But not in any sort of weird way, because we were kissing on them girls. Anyway, that creature was walking through the woods, jerking around.
Jerking itself.
No, not in any sort of way like that.
That's what it says. Something jerking itself. I shit you not. That's exactly what it says.
This entire episode has gotten completely out.
Yeah, we're already
Welcome.
way beyond canceled.
Waifu shows up for 30 seconds and it immediately goes to shit.
No, it goes to jerking. What do you...
Oh, man. Alrighty.
All right, we're going to do that.
Not on the podcast.
No, that's not what I'm doing. It says, I'm going to start as they booked it back. And then we're going to try not to laugh.
I'm fine. I'm worried about you two.
As they booked it back to the trailer, the girl said she flashed her light out to the side of them and saw something jerking itself through the woods. The gibbering just got louder and louder, and when they could see the light from our campfire, something had come out of the woods about 40 yards behind them onto the track. Then they just flat out ran as hard as they could to the trailer. So we're out in the fucking woods, and we're assuming at this point it's some rednecks or some shit trying to fuck with us. All of a sudden, my other cousin, Junior, starts going on about how he went to school with a native kid that was telling him about the Goatman or some shit. We promptly tell him to shut the fuck up because we don't need any spooky talk right now. But he just keeps going on and on about how it's the fucking Goatman and how we're in his woods and blah blah blah. Now at the time I had never heard of this Goatman or any of that. But then a couple of years ago, the year before I graduated from college, I had
Menom.
hold on.
I'll look it up.
No. That's not that. He said that they were all 15, 16, 17.
Yeah, so this was
And then
a while ago. Like at the
he's
time the
telling
story
it.
happened, it was 15, 16.
Yeah. Okay. I had a Menom. Okay, I'm just gonna start. I had a Menom.
Mhm.
I had a Menom for a roommate, and I ended up asking him about it. And to sum it up, it's basically a fucking man with the head of a goat, and he can shapeshift and get among groups of people to terrorize them. It's also supposed to be the kind of like Wendigo. It's bad mojo to even talk about it, and even worse if you see it. Keep in mind, I don't know this back when I was 16, so my cousin is going.
The Goatman's gonna get in and fucking get us, man.
The girls are all terrified, and my cousins and I are all fucking trying to figure out if it's just some hillbillies or an animal. All of a sudden, the smell just goes away. To this day, I haven't even experienced anything like it. Obviously, the smells usually fade away or lessen, but it literally was just there 1 second and not the next. So it's after an hour, making it around 9 or 10. We've stopped shitting bricks enough to go back outside and stoke the fire again. We figured it was just some assholes trying to fuck with us, so we don't go back home. Because we think if we do, they'll chase us through the woods or some crazy shit. Nothing else weird happens that night. We stay another night, and for the main part of that night, nothing happens. But at about 1 in the morning, we're outside getting drunk, telling ghost stories as someone has finished some too spooky story. I don't remember what about. The smell comes back. It's so fucking strong that one of the girls literally starts vomiting. I stand up, and you can actually feel how clammy the air is. I say we should get inside, that this isn't right. We should have just fucking left. We all go back inside, and we're standing around. My cousins keep going on about how it's the goat, man. My other cousin Rooster tries to shut him the fuck up, and all the while I'm just feeling something is wrong. Can't figure out what the fuck it is. We end up sitting in there for a while. This smells just as strong, and we're terrified, and all huddled in this camper. We end up cooking brats for everybody because nobody wants to go outside. It's one of those packs with 4 brats. We have a total of 3 packs. I grill them up on the stove and give everybody a hot dog, then get mine. After a while, one of my cousin gets up and goes over to the pot to get another one. He starts grumbling about how I got 2 brats and everyone else got 1. I look at him like he's fucking stupid. I tell him that everyone got 1 because there's only 12 brats, and that if he wanted more, he should open up a new pack and cook some. That's when the girl had been out. That's when the girl that had been out with Rooster and Tan just starts screaming.
Oh, Jesus! Oh, Lord! Get it out!
She's crying and shivering, and then it dawns on the cousin standing up what the fuck is wrong. Me and him both glance around the room. I feel my heart fucking sink. I ran the fuck out of the cabin. The girl runs out with us. The trailer door is banging against the side of the trailer, and everybody books it out. One of my cousin's friends asks us what the fuck is wrong. I start counting us. There's only 11 now.
I shit you not.
My cousin verified. There had been 12 people in the cabin. But being that everybody didn't really know each other well, nobody had time that there was an extra person. And then I realized earlier that I had kind of noticed something was off. You know, when you're just dicking around and having a good time, that you don't sweat the small shit. You don't always keep track of certain stuff. I'm dead sure that someone else had been in the trailer with us. And that they had been there for at least a fucking day, eating with us. What makes it worse is that I couldn't figure out who it was, because I don't think anyone ever actually interacted with the person / the Goatman. The girl kept praying to Jesus, and we're all sitting outside. Eventually, we get big ass sticks and go back in the cabin, but there's nobody there. We count again. There's 11 people. Go back into the trailer and lock the door. We explain what the fuck happened. The girl says that she realized too, and that's when she was about to say something. The person sitting next to her grabbed her leg hard, leaned over toward her, and said something she couldn't understand. So we are pretty much scared as fuck. And I fall asleep, and when I wake up, the sun is just coming up, and half the people are asleep, and the other half are packing our shit up. We all want to walk back home, but like four people, oh god, ugh. But like 4 people wanted to stay until the sun was way up. And some people think that we were just fucking around and still wanted to stay at the trailers. I just want to get the fuck out of the woods. The girl's name was, oh no.
Kira?
No, was.
Oh,
Past tense, guys. I think we all know what happened.
The girl's name was Kiera. The one that the Goatman had touched. Anyway, I asked her if she really thinks it was something bad, and she says she just wants to go home and that she doesn't want to be out in the woods alone for another night. So we decided to split up. The 4 that want to go can go, but I have to stay because I have the keys to the cabin, and if it's my uncle's, it's my uncle's, and I have to lock it up. I'm super pissed at this point because I feel like people aren't taking this shit seriously, and I definitely didn't want to be out in the woods for another night. Spend the rest of the day trying to convince the rest of the people, now 4 girls and 4 guys, to get the fuck out of Dodge. Tanner leaves them to go get a rifle and says he's going to be back. So there's just 7 of us left by 4 p.m.
I'd just
Around
like to
5
say
p.m.
that if you have the keys, you're in charge of the area.
Yeah.
Everybody get the fuck out. But I don't want to go outside. That sucks. Get your ass moving. Because I ain't staying out here.
Like, no, it doesn't sound serious. Or like, yeah, no.
Obviously, everybody's treating it somewhat seriously because whenever someone's like, yeah, let's get out of the cabin, they all leave. If they thought it was just hysteria or them just being dumb and kooky and scaredy cats, they just stay. They just let them run out. But no, they actually have some belief in it, so they're going to run out with them.
Yeah. At around 5 p.m., he hasn't made it back yet. We're getting extremely fucking antsy. The only reason I stopped begging them to leave was because he went to get a gun. Around 5:30 p.m. or so, the one cousin that did says that the girl Kiera is outside. We all look outside, and sure enough, she's standing by the fire pit with her back to the cabin. I'm thinking to myself, if she was so fucking scared, then why the hell would she come back? I get this nasty feeling in my gut. Keep in mind, the whole time the coppery smell has been gone. Now I realize I can smell just a twinge of it. I say this to the rest of them. Everybody. And these are the people that wanted to stay in the fucking woods after we had the goddamn Goatman in our midst, is laughing at me and asking if I set this up to scare them. I'm looking at them like,
I'm not fucking bullshitting you at all right now.
Ask him why the fuck would I play like that? So one of the girls goes outside to get Kiera. She gets halfway to her and stops cold. Kiera starts heaving. I don't know how the fuck to describe it. Sort of like if someone with their back turned away was laughing without actually making any sound. It was this fact that made me realize there was not a fucking sound in the whole woods. It was dead silent. This was like late September, so it was still fairly hot at the time, but super chilly some days too. And you could usually hear big-ass geese honking or some kind of birds or squirrels chit-chatting. Stepped out the girl to tell the girl to come back in the fucking trailer right goddamn now. She backs up into it, and we lock the fucking door. We pull down the shades except for one and put a guy there in a chair to watch Kiera. She stands there for another 20 minutes or so. Eventually, the guy turns to say that she's still there, and there's a huge fucking bang on the door. We all jump up and scramble around the living room of the trailer. The banging is super fucking loud. My cousin is holding one of the girls. The other two are kind of giggling with nervous laughter. And me and the other guys are shitting bricks. Then we hear Tan screaming,
Let me the fuck in. Stop fucking playing.
We go over to the door and open it, and he stumbles in with a rifle. There's nobody else outside. Evidently, he had walked up to the campsite. Nothing weird happened in the forest, but he had seen a girl. Mind you, he said it was not Kiera standing there. When he had gotten to the edge of the clearing, she had turned towards him with a slack-jawed look and just stared him down, slowly tracking him as he walked around the outside of the clearing towards the camp. He said it wasn't till he was almost halfway to the trailer that he realized she was getting closer to him. She had started off by the fire, and without him even seeing her move, she had been turning, inching closer. He said he just ran the rest of the way back to the cabin thinking it would open. When he got there, the door was locked, and he turned, and it was about half the distance to the door. He looks around the room and gets super pale. He pulls me to the side and whispers in my ear,
You know there are only 7 of us in here, right?
I get that feeling where your stomach drops to your nuts. It had been back inside the trailer where we were sort of was going. And then when we all went outside to talk earlier in the day, it just slipped right back in. We look out the window and there's nobody standing there, so we recount. Then I go over to everyone and ask how many people were here earlier. Everybody says 8. I say,
Well, how many are here now?
they all do the count and realize that there's now only 7 people in the cabin. Tan had brought back a couple of boxes of ammo and his rifle. He told his dad that there was some kind of animal. He didn't think he would believe him if he said it was the Goatman. He says that his cousin is supposed to be coming down in a few hours, and that in the morning we can all go back to his place and his cousin will drive us home. Now I'm really fucking terrified, but at least I feel better because we can be American and shoot the fuck out of whatever it is.
Yeah.
America! Fuck yeah!
You know, the one thing that I'm proud of is that we can shoot the fuck out of this bitch.
Honestly,
Anyway.
why, if their dad's like, yeah, there's just some animal wandering around out in these woods, y'all probably should keep a hunting rifle on ya. Why would they say no in the first place?
What?
It.
Why
like,
would
yeah,
the dad say no?
No, why would the kids say no? The dad's the one that recommended, like, yeah, there's something wandering around, you probably should have a gun on you.
If my dad says, hey, you should probably take a gun, I'm taking a gun.
Same.
I carried a gun with me while backpacking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's just smart. Like, stay strapped or get clapped. You don't want the Goatman clapping you. Look what he's been doing in the woods this whole time.
Jerking it.
So, yeah, I'm going to keep a piece on me. Also, why does this guy keep mentioning, like, dicks and stuff constant? Like, yeah, we're just dicking around in the woods. There was another one that was just... Sure, him saying fuck every other sentence, very Vibsy popcore, but that's...
Ooh, that'll anger a lot of teenagers.
We already shit talked Has Been Hotel in the first episode, so we already weeded them out.
And the second episode.
So this is just keeping on with the trend.
Third.
There's another section where it was just like, okay, that was a really just out of nowhere. This is a very interesting narrator, is all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's continue.
Alright. Now I'm really fucking terrified, but at least I feel better because we could be American and shoot the fuck out of whatever it is if it comes back. But then my cousin gets into this huge argument with girls because she thinks that I'm trying to be funny and prank them. She's getting really scared and thinks I'm not funny. He keeps telling her that I'm not that kind of person, and she says,
You know what, waifu?
Well, how do we? Yeah, yeah, I'm about to. Well, how do we know the girl wasn't just Tanner in a wig? Or if it's really the Goatman? How do we know that this is the real Tanner and that the Goatman didn't just kill Tanner in the woods and take his gun?
so we get into a huge fucking argument about this, where me and Tan are like,
We could seriously be in danger because at the very least, someone has been sneaking themselves into our fucking trailer without us knowing and mingling with us. And at worst, something bad is in the forest fucking with us.
one of the girls is crying and she wants to go right now. And we're trying to tell her that we shouldn't because none of us are walking through the woods in the middle of the night. At this point, the sun is starting to go down and it's getting a little cloudy out. We eat something and turn on the radio for a while, but we can't really get a station out there with anything decent. So we turn it off at about the time that Tan's cousin shows up. He was like 19, I think. Now the sun is just barely over the horizon. He has one of those heavy duty lantern flashlights and a rifle. He walks up to the trailer. We whisper to Tan, asking if he's sure that's his cousin. He says yes. The guy looks behind him and all around the camp, then walks in. He kind of glances at all of us, looks a little confused, and he says,
Where's your
Where's your other
other.
little buddy?
Oh.
I got it.
yeah, yeah.
Where's your other little buddy at? I figured she would meet up at the cabin. Is she a little slow or something?
He asked us whether we had been cooking blood in the cabin because it smelled like blood and hot pans all the way up the trail. We're all like, fucking.
Nope.
We asked him what the fuck he's talking about with the girl he saw. He had come down the trail and Tan had been. Oh, sorry. He had come down the same trail Tan had been using and found
One of you's guys is buddy.
standing in the middle of the trail, looking at him slack jawed. He asked her a bunch of questions, but all she did was look at him. Then she smiled and she he said she kept walking. She couldn't seem to keep up with him and kept lagging a little behind. He said he asked her if she was hurt or something, and even if she needed any help, but she had continued to stare. Eventually, he turned around a bend in the trail, but when he got back to see if she was okay, the trail was empty. He'd assumed she'd taken some shortcut through the woods to our trailer. We tell him the whole story of what's been going on. I half expected him to say we were full of shit, but he just listened and sat down on the couches in the living room. Tanner's cousin gets back to the girl. He says that when she had kept trying to lag behind him, it kind of weirded him the fuck out. So he tried to keep her in the front of him, but no matter how slow he walked, she was always lagging a little behind. He smelled this nasty smell, and it got stronger as soon as he got to the camp. Eventually, it got really strong. She had said something really low that he didn't catch. When he turned around, she had been right the fuck up on him. He stepped back from her, and at this point he asked her if she was okay. If she wasn't, he offered to carry her back the rest of the way. She just kept staring and he said he reached out for her, as in to grab her on the shoulder, but he must have misjudged the distance because she was off to the side where he had put his hand. Like she moved while he was looking dead at her. At this point, we know this shit's real, unless Tan is playing a joke, which we can tell he's not because he's almost pissing his pants. They load up their rifles, we eat some more, and we just kind of sit around till about 11. To this fucking day, every time I think about this, I really pray to God that it's some huge prank that my cousins played on me and just never realized I would shit myself for the rest of my life. Around 11, the stink of copper turned into an actual gross blood-like smell. It like cooked blood and singed hair. Tan and his cousin Reese get the fuck up and instantly grab the rifles. There's like a half knocking, half clawing at the door, and I shit you not, there's this voice. It sounds like when you see those YouTube cats and dogs whose owner teaches them how to talk. It says in this halting, weirdly toned voice,
Let me the fucking stop fucking playing.
It made my fucking nuts creep up against my body. One of the girls just
Right
starts
like
crying.
that. Right there. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Like that was a really good moment, and he's like, man, my nuts are creeping up my body like a caterpillar on a stalk of a flower. My goodness. And just, oh my god.
Creepypasta if it was written by Vivi Pop. Vivzy Pasta.
Stop.
Fizzy pasta. Okay.
It made my fucking nuts creep up against my body. One of the girls starts crying and calling for Jesus. It was so fucking obviously not a person. It didn't have the right cadence. That's some shit I never realized until that moment. But all the people have a certain cadence when they talk. No matter what language, people have a certain kind of rhythm when talking. This shit didn't even have any kind of cadence or rhythm. One of those YouTube cats. That's what the fuck it sounded like outside the door.
And there is a YouTube link.
I kind of want to listen to it.
I'm gonna listen to it.
Yeah, sure, why the fuck not? I'm going to get an ad in front of it. I just... Yeah, that's kind of what I imagined it sounding like anyway, with the way you described it.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward.
We can maybe put the YouTube video in the description.
Well, yeah, we could.
Yeah. It sounded like this, almost, just not funny. Sorry for being on a tangent, but if you can't imagine how this shit sounded, then you can't imagine how fucked up the whole situation was. So
I don't
now,
really think, sorry to interrupt, I don't really think
No.
that part should be in the video, in the podcast.
What?
Because unless they watched
It
it
sounded like
like
this.
this almost.
Sorry for being
I
on a
don't think
tangent.
that whole paragraph should be in there.
It's
I'll
like
have to actually listen
We'll
to the
keep
video.
it, just because
Yeah.
we took the time to watch the YouTube video and all that.
Okay.
Yeah. Alright. So now I'm in full-on terror mode. We keep yelling outside.
Who is it? Stop fucking around, man!
And it just keeps saying,
In.
or...
Let me the fuck in.
For almost 15 minutes. For the next hour or so, you can hear someone basically creeping around the woods and shit. Every couple of minutes, it comes back to the door and says something. Finally, the smell fades away around 2 in the morning. Reese says,
Man, fuck this.
opens the door and walks outside with his rifle. He fires a shot into the air and says something to the effect of,
In the name of Jesus Christ, go away.
he fires 2 more times, and then from the woods, right up against the river, from the trailer, it sounds like something slowly gibbering and hooting. And it starts screaming, and it sounds almost like a woman and a cat in a bag screaming together. Like, I seriously have never heard any shit like that. We can hear the brush over that way start to shake. Reese fires over into the tree line and then starts backing up into the building. We lock the door and we can hear this shit keening and screaming. Reese says something had come out of the bushes, super low to the ground, and was crawling towards the cabin. He had shot at it. Pretty much, that was how the rest of the night went. Literally constant screaming for the next 2 hours and shit moving out into the tree line. But it never came back up to the cabin until everyone had finally fallen asleep. Tan had been sitting in the chair watching the door with his rifle. Nobody else heard or saw this. He told me 2 days later after the thing was over. He said he'd been nodding off after the screaming noise had finally stopped. He'd been almost asleep when he saw someone come out of the bathroom and lay down in the middle of the floor and go to sleep. He just assumed it was one of us, and that the guy had nodded off. Then, he said he kind of realized something was wrong. While pretending to be sleeping, he counted us. There was 9 people in the cabin. He didn't want to try and shoot at the fucking thing and have it kill us all then and there, or have Reese wake up and start shooting and and us kill ourselves. Sorry, I'm gonna read that again. That was really weirdly.
Honestly, that's fair.
So
Yeah.
wait, okay. So back earlier, the story mentioned that it was the poster and four other people and four of his cousins in the cabin before. That's 9 people. But then
For
Tanner and Reese joined them.
that would be.
So it was.
So he.
There was 11. There were 11 people in the cabin originally. There was 5. Yeah, 5 girls and 6 guys.
Yep.
And 4 of them decided to leave, and then Tanner came back.
Leaving 8 of them. So there was 8 of them.
And then Reese is in the cabin. That's 9.
So
there were 9 people in the cabin.
So the 8 of them left. 8 of them stayed. When Tanner
Yes.
left and came back, they did a recount. And there were 7.
Gotcha.
So then,
And then Reese showed up. And then there was 8.
There was 8. So now there's.
Okay.
Yeah. The guy writes this really weird, so it's kind of hard to keep up with like the.
Yeah, it's hard to follow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The important facts. Yeah.
Yeah. My bad. He didn't want to try and shoot at the fucking thing and have it kill us all then there, or have Reese wake up and start shooting and us kill ourselves. So he just stayed awake all night, pretending to be asleep. He said sometimes it would stand up and kind of do this weird jittery thing or heave like it was laughing. Then it would lay back down. The story closes pretty weak because from my perspective, nothing happened when we woke up. I noticed that Tan was a little jittery and he was avoiding looking at us, but we ate some breakfast, packed up, and started walking to his house. He stayed last in the cabin and said he'd lock up and bring my uncle's keys. He told us to start walking and that he'd catch up, which I didn't really want to fucking do. We got a little bit up the path and then he came up running. We just jogged back to his house. His cousin took us home. There was a window in the bathroom. Tan had gotten back to lock up and looked in there. We were too stupid to lock a screenless window, and it was fucking up when he went in there. I'm guessing it had been doing that all along, waiting for us to fall asleep or slip in, and then getting in among us. It walked with us all the... Oh.
Wait, what?
Sorry.
Oh my god!
The imposter venting.
Shut up!
It walked with us all the goddamn way back to his house. Then he said it lagged him to the back of the group and looked him dead in the eyes before walking into the woods.
And that was the Anansi Goatman story. And I just realized that after looking
You've been saying Anasani.
We've been saying it wrong. It's Anansi because the author is named Anansi. Yeah, Anansi.
Okay.
So it wasn't the Anasazi Goatman, it was just the Anansi Goatman, and we are just incapable of reading.
I really want to put this out. I was trying to pronounce it, and then Anasani, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Anasani.
So I'm blaming.
Yeah, that was my bad, 100%. That was me being confidently wrong.
Yep.
Overall, that.
It was. Can I give my?
Yeah,
opinion?
Go for it.
Struggle of
read.
Good story. I actually felt like genuinely creeped out.
Oh well, that's a first. You haven't really been creeped out with any of these stories before.
No, but it was like it did a good job.
Mm-hmm.
Adding the freak factor.
Yeah, it built up the tension really nicely when it let it.
But just the wording of it walked with us all goddamn back to his house.
Yeah, the consistent cussing definitely detracted from the story, I'd say.
I'm not saying
if
that...
we do post like a reading of this. I might just have us go back through and just read this without the cussing.
So I'm trying to light a candle.
You're good. I just feel like that would
But
be a bit stronger of a story then.
it was good. I understood, imagined just fine what was going. It was very vivid descriptions
Hmm.
of everything. There were just moments where I had to stop, reread, or like what had to recount, like how many people were here, how many people died, what were they
Well,
doing, what.
I think that was part of it is that the whole point of the Goatman was that it sneaks into the group and kind of assimilates itself with the group, so that way everybody's suspect with everybody.
Yeah, but do you get what I'm saying? Where I'm like,
Hmm.
there was some core points that just weren't
Yeah, it definitely
very well.
there were some things that definitely could be reworked a little bit and make it a bit smoother. But overall, it's an okay story. I thought it was okay.
Hmm.
Wife, who would you think?
It was it was good. Again, as we've mentioned, it was hard to read,
Hmm.
but I think I like some of the details that they added, like the
Yeah.
smell of copper cooking blood. I think that's a very
Yeah.
interesting detail.
Uh, One thing that I do like is that when it let the tension build up, it built it up really well. Like when the creature was at the door and it was like scratching at the door and pounding on the door. It was basically copying, what was it, Tanner's? That was his name?
Yeah, Tanner's
Tanner's
line.
Mhm.
voice and line of like "Let me the fuck in, I ain't fucking playing." I thought that that was very good because it adds a little depth to the rules of the Goatman and makes it similar to how it makes it similar to other creatures that you would see, where it's this thing that's stealing voices in order to allow it to be able to walk among people like a wolf in sheep's clothing. And then another thing it mentions, it's earlier in the story, it was talking about how the cousin was talking or met this one native kid and the goat man's a shapeshifter. That is a pretty common theme from what I understand with a bunch of Native American folklore is the concept of shapeshifters or supernatural entities that hide in human skin in order to be able to lure out its prey. Similar to a skinwalker. A skinwalker is a shapeshifter, but rather going from beast to man, it goes from man to beast. I think that's if they did make up the creature for the sake of the story, they did a really good job at pulling in real world details for their story and creating this folklore around it. Actually, let me check. So, Goatman is a figure in American folklore primarily known from urban legends, especially in Maryland and Texas areas. Described as half human, half goat creature, sometimes with origins rooted in scientific experiments or vengeful goat farmers.
Vengeful goat
I
farmers.
don't know.
It's a new one.
Okay, so it does seem like it's a legitimate figure in folklore. I just I'm giving the story praise for having some decent additions to it. I don't know. I haven't looked into the Goatman a lot, but if this is already pre-established, then good utilization of it. I feel like it utilized the elements of the Goatman a lot better than the Mothman. But if this is new stuff they just added to it for the sake of the story, I'm also going to give props to that because it puts a creative twist on an established character.
Now, do we know if Kiara died?
I
It
think
doesn't
that
sound like it.
I I think
He
they leave
said
that
he's
ambiguous on purpose
yeah.
because some people are saying like, "Oh, it's Kiara," and then when Tanner showed up, he's like, "No, that wasn't Kiara." it was just some random girl. And so I think it's leaving it ambiguous, or the Goatman is just changing its appearance to as close as possible. Similar to how it was replicating voices as close as it could, but it was still wrong. They saw a girl similar to what Kiara looked like, and it just got close enough. So what they might have saw is Kiara Tanner, who I think it implies knows Kiara a little better, would recognize whether or not that's Kiara, or if it's just someone who looks similar.
Yeah.
So maybe it's like a as close, like an uncanny valley, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like how it kind of, I wouldn't say artificially, but it did a good job of adding the whole we don't know necessarily who it is because we don't know each other that well. Because in most stories it's like, oh yeah, me and a group of friends went camping and then some random guy showed up. Like that everybody would immediately be able to point out like, yeah, you don't belong here. We're going to grab a hatchet and a hunting rifle and
Beat the shit out of you.
beat the shit out of this thing. Compared to, oh yeah, it's me, a few cousins, and like each cousin's best friend, and we all don't really know each other that closely, so we don't know if this extra person here is just associated with someone different or if they're not supposed to be there. Now, that is in slight contrast to our next creature that we are going to be talking about, which is the Fleshgait. And a Fleshgait, to my understanding, the story might have a different take on it. A Fleshgait was another creature created on 4chan, going to that callback of me mentioning it earlier. It was created on 4chan, and it's essentially a very popular upbringing of something that was going to happen. So most creepypastas, whenever they do involve a creature, they usually have a skinwalker, the Wendigo, the Goatman. And the Fleshgait is kind of all the details that everybody likes about those creatures wrapped up into one specific entity. Because part of the reason why skinwalkers and Wendigos and the Goatman are all so commonly associated with each other is because of creepypastas and people picking and choosing details from each of them and slapping one of their names on top of it. Like some people think that the Wendigo can shapeshift and replicate its voice and all that stuff. From what I understand with all the myths and legends around Wendigos, it can't do that. It's just a cannibal spirit in a human body. Whereas the Skinwalker, which is a Native American, an evil Native American shaman, it is able to do more of the illusions and voice mimicry and all that stuff to turn people around. Now, in some stories of the Wendigo, it is able to manipulate details of the forest to be able to get people lost. And then obviously we have the Goatman that we just read about, where it's able to change itself into other people so that way it can look similar enough to people and get absorbed into the group without others knowing about it. And so the Fleshgait is kind of the culmination of all those things, where it can mimic voices, it looks like a person, it's able to use supernatural means to artificially integrate itself into the group, and really the only tell as to who the Fleshgait is through how strong your sense of the uncanny valley is. And so I think it is a very interesting creature. Now, one quick question before we do get properly into the story of the Fleshgait. Do either of you know the theory around the uncanny valley?
No, I do
Um,
not.
Are you talking about where
Oh, actually, yes, I
reason
do.
why? There's a reason why we had to develop the
So
uncanny.
the theory goes that the uncanny valley is a effect that the human psyche feels where something is where we are supposed to be unsettled by stuff that looks kind of human or close to human, but it's not close enough to be human. And the line of thought then goes into, due to where it's sat in our brain, it's considered to be like a lizard brain trait. So there's like lizard brain, ape brain, stuff like that. I think it was ape brain. But it was evolved as a survival trait. So the question and part of the theory is, why did humanity need to evolve the trait of being able to recognize stuff that isn't exactly human?
Yeah.
And that's also partially what the Fleshgait answers, is that question of why the Uncanny Valley was created. Now, similar to the story of the Mothman, I have not read the Fleshgait. I've purposely avoided people talking about it so that way I can read it fresh with you guys, because, well, I do like pulling you guys down memory lane with all the stories that I've listened to. I do like reading new stories as well. So we are going to get into the Fleshgait. Everybody ready?
I am ready.
This story is credited to Empy Real Inactive. Months later, I can remember all of them, down to their slightest idiosyncrasies and quirks. They were my friends, and they're gone now. There's a hole in my life where they were. Sometimes I'll remember something they said or did, and it'll hit me like a ton of bricks. They're gone now, and I'm only left with memories of them. I'm sorry for being Malden and bringing everyone down, but I think this is the only way I can really introduce my story and explain why I feel like I have to type this out. I think that writing this is the only way I can learn to accept that. I'll try to keep these downer tendencies to myself as I'm writing all this down, but I can't make promises. I know that being the third wheel in a group can be a terrible thing, but I can think of something worse. Being the fifth wheel. God, I relate to that so much.
Yeah, we know.
If you're the third wheel, that makes you your group a semi-functional tricycle. If you're the fifth wheel, you're left as some obscure car from the 50s that no one remembers or cares about. Imagine not being able to follow the in-jokes and shared history of one couple and multiply that by 2. Getting stuck as the fifth wheel is twice as bad. That was the frame of mind I had as we all piled into Ian's car to go to Gila National Forest for our hike. I know that's a weird opening to give to all this after my depressing introduction, but I want you all to have an idea of my mindset. I'm not quite sure I know how to describe all this, but I do know that I need to tell someone. I need someone else to know what happened and help me come to terms with it all. I think the only way I'll be able to explain this would be to help you see from my perspective as much as possible. So there we were, driving down to Gila for a hike, with me feeling like the fifth wheel wedged between 2 of Ian's friends who I didn't know. 3 of us were cramped in the back seat, while Ian and his girlfriend were up front. I look back at that unnecessary bit of moping back in August 2016 as one of the last few moments of normalcy I would have in my life. I tried to make the best of the situation. I really did. Ian was always the more social of us. Our mom used to tell us that Ian could make anyone his friend, but that once I had a friend, that I kept them for life. It was one of those parental platitudes that was given to reassure a socially awkward kid that there was nothing wrong. Unfortunately, it would take me almost 19 years to learn that that wasn't true. Instead of taking my therapist's diagnosis of social anxiety disorder following a breakdown after an office get together as a means for seeking treatment, I used it as an excuse to cloister myself off from the world. I stayed in my apartment when I wasn't looking and told myself that I was just doing what was best for me. Of course, Ian decided that wasn't healthy and convinced me to go on a weekend-long hike with him. It wasn't until I showed up at his house at 6 in the morning on a Friday after taking the day off of work that I saw he had invited others along. I think he saw it as a means of getting me help and breaking me out of my shell by introducing me to his friends. Unfortunately, though, with Ian's extroverted nature, he didn't realize that I liked being in my shell. It was comfortable. It was safe. A turtle doesn't like being broken out of its shell. It dies. After a brief introduction where I caught no one's name except for those I already knew, my brother's and his girlfriend Jessica, due to the morning grogginess and the rushed greetings, we packed up the car and left for our hike. It took 3 hours of mostly awkward silence for us to reach our destination. Ian tried to make conversation, but my short responses and the other sleepiness killed them off fairly quickly. We found the parking lot near the Gila Cliff dwellings. As we unpacked our gear, we took a moment to bask in the beautiful sight as we sat perched above us. It's hard to believe that someone could carve an entire town into the face of a cliff. But 700 years ago, people managed to do just that. Given that the parking lot was empty except for us, we would find out why later, and I was in need of some social lubrication, we split a 6-pack of beer and took in the majesty. Here's a picture in case you were wondering what the area looked like. And then it's just... we'll throw it up on screen, but it's just a photo of... As we finished our beers, we got everything prepared and used the restrooms. Ian explained what path we would be taking in detail. What we didn't know, and what my brother had failed to tell us, was that the West Fork Trail had been closed all that summer due to flooding. To be honest, the path wasn't that dangerous. They had just opted not to clear it due to the recent flooding, so it would be a bit more rugged hike. While it wasn't perilous in and of itself, it did keep us from encountering other hikers, which would cause us a lot of problems when we actually needed help. Ian figured that we could make about 2 to 3 miles per hour and we would be able to complete the Gila Loop, which was about 30 miles long with enough time to get back on Sunday and be ready for our respective jobs on Monday, with no one any the wiser that we had backpacked a closed section of the national park. As his explanation was a bit heavy on names and locations, some of which I can't recall clearly, I'll opt to include a picture rather than spend a page writing out everything. For the sake of simplicity, this is the path we were planning to take. And then, again, just a photo of the Gila Loop. In addition, I'll include a more detailed map of the entire area so you can orient yourselves if you want to trace the trail we took. If you plan on following along with the path as I tell you about the experience, all I can say is good luck. Even as I stare at it now, I feel just as lost now as I was then. I was just going along with the group and trying to keep a positive mind about everything. I wanted to try and do a better job of getting to know Ian and Jessica's friends. I think my circumstances had finally begun to set in. I had been living in a quiet apartment in New Mexico for over a year and I had no friends. I would go to work, then home, without doing anything else. Sometimes I would spend the entire weekend without saying a single word to anyone or seeing another person. I knew that if I didn't change something quick, that solitude would become the norm, and that frightened me.
All right, pause.
Pause.
Jessica is such a white girl trashy name.
I kept thinking of a series of unfortunate events, like when Count Olaf is in one of his personas, he's like, "It is me, Jessica Haircut," and it's like, I just kept thinking about like the little Count Olaf persona. I don't know. I've heard weirder names for people.
This guy is definitely doing a lot of
A lot of, I think, announcer cut out.
I think so too.
foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing. It was going to be such a nice, lovely day. That was until the skinned man with the hatchet showed up.
It was going to be such a nice day until the berry man showed up. It's going to be such a nice until Larry.
Until Larry. All right. Any other?
Is that what we're naming? What should we name the Fleshgate?
Larry.
Fleshgate Larry.
Well-
I think Larry kind of firmly established itself as soon as it was
All right.
stated. Larry.
Larry.
Larry the Fleshgate.
Larry the Fleshgate. Yep.
It is the mascot of the F team.
Huh.
So you got Frank, and Larry. And Larry's the mascot. And it's just like this skinless, like, gremlin hobbling on the floor. It's like, "Oh, Larry, you're such a character. Ain't he, Frank? He sure is, Frank. What do you think about this character, Frank?" "Oh,
He's
quite
quite
the
the character.
oh, he was talking to you, Frank. I'm sorry."
Oh, my bad.
"No, it's all good, Frank. Don't
Would you say
worry
Frank? Who's
about it."
talking to me?
Frank. We were just talking
Oh,
about how
Frank.
much of a character Larry was, Frank.
Oh, Larry. He's such a weird character, Frank.
He is such a weird character.
That's what I was saying.
That is what you were saying. Oh, all right, we need to cut this bit so we can get back to this. All right. Let me take a sip of water real quick. Why'd you need to add the sound effect? Like right when I was drinking it, too. All right. Our first day was relatively quiet. We spent a majority of time taking in the sights, soaking in the sun, and breathing the fresh air. The hike felt like we were constantly moving upward. As I was unaccustomed to hiking, I frequently fell behind, but I never completely lost sight of my brother's friends. While we took a break under the shade of a tree whose bark looked like dried scales from a long dead alligator, I tried to make small talk with everyone. I fell into a quick conversation with Ian and Jessica about their work and what they had been up to lately. When it came time to talk to the other two, I only managed to get the conversation going for a few sentences before it shriveled up and died. I remember assuring myself that it would be easier when we stopped for the night. We rested for a while before continuing our ascent up the mesa. This was where everyone realized how truly out of my element I was. The path up the mesa was agonizing for me. It seemed to never stop climbing up, and there was almost no shade to keep the sun from beating down on us. I was sweating buckets, panting and wheezing whenever they stopped to wait for me to catch up. I tried to pretend that I didn't notice their exasperated whispers or side glances, but it was easier said than done. They seemed like the outdoorsy type that had been doing this sort of thing for years. By the time our path started to level out, I was ready to turn around and leave. It wasn't until we reached the top and looked out over everything that I realized how foolish of an idea that was. Even if I was able to convince Ian to give me the keys and let me walk back to the car and go home, I had no idea where I was going or what trail markers we had been using. I imagined splitting off from the group and tromping through poison ivy, bumbling into a gang of banjo-playing hill folk, or getting lost in the dark and wandering in circles until exhaustion and exposure took me. Even if I did manage to hike back to the parking lot, where was I going to go? Would I go back home to my empty apartment, eat a Hot Pocket, and feel sorry for myself again? I decided to tough it out and continue hiking. We made camp at a dry section of the Indian Creek after having hiked a decent amount. Ian was confident that we would make it back on Sunday and that the next few days were going to be less intensive. We ate some food and stowed the rest in a bear bag a ways away from camp. We were passing a bottle of whiskey around in front of a campfire we had built when the conversation shifted to the most awkward moments everyone had experienced. My brother disguised the icebreaker as a conversation starter. Ian retold his story about the first time he met Jessica at a club where he was way too drunk for his own good and ended up puking into her purse.
Nice.
Hey, pretty mom.
Hey, mamacita.
Hey, Mamacita, do you get the line?
Damn, that's a nice purse. Too bad it's all
Oh, man.
floaty.
I got your purse for you. I know announcer's never gone on this hike, but waifu, did you ever go to Philmont?
I never ended up going to Philmont. No, I've been to the big
Ah,
one, though.
so a lot of the way they're describing sections of this hike and stuff remind me a lot of Philmont. For those people that don't know, Philmont is a high adventure camp where it's a 50-mile hike through the sticks of New Mexico. And a lot of the way they were talking about stuff where it'll just be straight uphill or the bark that resembles like shedding reptile skin. Oh, I'm able to visualize that so well. And so I'm really enjoying this story. Anyway, getting back into it. Jessica bristled at the old memory and jokingly called Ian an asshole for that. Each person shared their stories about a bumbling first kiss where their braces got hooked together, locking themselves out of their
Nerds.
dorm rooms in their underwear, their cringe-inducing high school edgelord personality, and caring for a drunken acquaintance who puked into their favorite bag. Then the bottle came to me, and it was my turn to tell them a story. I instantly knew what my most embarrassing story was the moment we started the conversation. I didn't tell them about the door, though. Instead, I made up a story ripping my pants in front of a group of people during a work interview that I had probably ripped straight from the 90s sitcom. They laughed with me, and I felt like a piece of shit. They had bothered to reveal their most embarrassing moments and were commiserating in their shared experience. And here I was too afraid to tell them the truth. To tell them about the door. The conversation continued for a bit afterwards as we killed the bottle. When it was dead, we all went to bed, still pretty drunk after dousing the campfire. I woke up in the middle of the night, desperately needing to use the bathroom. Still a bit fuzzy from the bullet whiskey, I tromped out into the woods to do my business. It wasn't until I was almost done that Nadia's voice cut through the blackness. She asked me if I had a lighter. Since I hadn't heard her approach, the sound of her voice made me jump. It would have scared the piss out of me if I had not just gone to the bathroom. I mumbled something about having a lighter back around camp. She told me that she had dropped hers and asked me to help her look for it, but I was too out of it to be any good to anyone, so I told her that we'd look for it later. I vaguely remember her mumbling a protest as I stumbled back to my sleeping role. It wasn't until I woke up the next morning that I realized how stupid I'd been. Apparently, they had heard yowling in the surrounding woods all night. They thought that the sound could have possibly belonged to the Mexican gray wolf. But no one was sure. Ian knew that they inhabited the area, but were very uncommon. I paled at the thought of being mauled by a wolf while out peeing in the middle of the woods. I decided next time I would wake up Ian before going out in the woods to answer the call of nature. We packed up a while later after a light breakfast and continued our hike. Or just bring a flashlight, dude. Like, it's...
Yeah. Although, I
It's not
mean,
that hard.
I've gone to the bathroom without a flashlight. It's just easier.
Yeah, you zip open the tent, you walk out, you take 2 steps to the left or right, and answer the call, and it's like 3 steps back. You don't need to worry about coyote or anything, or Mexican gray wolf eating you.
Mexican.
Don't say it. I know what you're going to say.
What? What? Did I cut out?
Yeah.
Did it just say Mexican?
All you said was
Oh.
Mexican, and then cut out.
Oh, I said
Illegal.
No.
Mexican. I said Mexican fart. It was.
Okay.
I just turned around and I was petting the Mexican.
And he cut out again, right at Mexican, too.
Mexican.
I know you do the Donald Trump impression, but your adoption of the persona is getting a little crazy here, man.
I hate the Mexicans.
Just imagine you're out camping, and you wake up in the middle of the night, and you go out to take a piss, and you just hear Donald Trump screaming about politics from the tree line.
I think nothing would bring me more joy. Never mind.
What would bring you more joy?
I'm not gonna say it.
Your wife?
Yes.
Fucking.
I'm editing out what announcer said. It cut out anyway.
Ryder, do you have anything to say to the microphone?
Ah, the dog's
Come here.
got to pipe in now.
Come here. Come here. Right here.
Ryder, what is your opinion of the Mexican gray wolf?
Ryder, do you like Mexicans?
That's not what I
Ryder.
asked.
I hate Mexicans, right?
Ryder.
My foo.
Okay, that was Rose.
That wasn't me.
Rose. Smell the microphone. Give it a sniff. Ryder, come here. Come here. Say something to the mic. He doesn't want to.
Alright, we're going to get back to the story.
Okay.
The second day was a little better. The overbearing sun I suffered under previously was hidden behind heavy clouds. We crossed a number of rivers as we followed the 157-729 junction. We went along Little Bear Canyon as we headed towards the TJ Coral, which was towards the end of the hiking loop, as the path hadn't been cleared yet. We frequently had to dodge patches of poison ivy and stinging nettles that had grown emboldened by the season's flooding. I fared much better on this hike, and despite nursing a slight hangover, I felt like I was doing a much better job getting around with my pack and clunky boots my brother had loaned me. We made camp around midday and purified some water from a nearby river, boiling and adding iodine tablets to them, as the last section of our hike didn't really have many opportunities for potable water. I think that
I don't understand. So whenever I went backpacking, I don't know if you did this while in Philmont, but you know, and obviously we'll have to edit that name out. But
yeah.
but do you know her?
We'll edit all the names of people we talk about too. It mom?
No,
No? Okay.
no, she's you know, top popcorn seller. Ever hear the name?
Maybe.
It's his mom, and whenever we went backpacking, she's the current troop leader for the girl troop,
Okay.
and she had this water filter that she would bring. It's basically just a pump,
Okay.
and dude, that thing was the shit.
Yeah. So we used, I don't think it was iodine tablets specifically, but we had to use like water purification tablets.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd have enough for like a few days. And then whenever we got to one of the intermediate camps, the adults would get more water purification tablets just in case we needed to fill up water somewhere. Because while they did have like wells and stuff, sometimes they weren't the most potable, and so they required us to like throw purification tablets and bleed the threads.
Oh,
and all
I bet
stuff.
that tasted so bad though.
It did, but considering we were hiking in the hot New Mexican sun for all day, it might as well have been ice water from glacier. It it
And I
wasn't that
just
bad.
stay inside,
Yeah, you're a 5,000 pound
yeah.
Discord moderator. We all know.
And you're a fat fucking piece of shit.
Do I look like the kid from the Jeff the Killer story?
Yeah.
Ouch.
I don't even know what he's talking about, but damn.
The episode isn't out yet as time of recording. It should hopefully be out when this publishes, though. If I'm doing my job right. Alright, back to the
All right,
story.
let's continue.
I think that maybe our encounter last night with the yipping and yowling wolves had added a bit of seriousness to the hike, as there wasn't as much joking around or conversations this night. We talked a little bit, but mainly just had something small to eat while we stared into the campfire. Ian and Jessica were the first to call it for the night. I stayed up with the others for a bit, but we were mainly silent. The other two slowly went off after a bit, and I decided to enjoy the warmth a bit longer before getting ready to go to bed for the night. Just as I had finished dousing the fire, I remember Jerry coming up to me and asking for the map. He told me he wanted to plan out the rest of our trip, and that there was a spring nearby that we should really visit that wasn't too far out of the way. I grabbed the map from Ian's pack and gave it to him before turning in. Alright, I know that we just paused, but I'm gonna...
Who's Jerry?
So, Jerry and Nadia, those are two names that haven't been
Mentioned.
mentioned. Because they say the other two, but they never specify that, oh, the other two, Jerry and Nadia. They just say... He just
The other.
mentions the other two. So my guess is that Nadia and Jerry were both the Fleshgait. And that maybe they're people from his past, but that's getting more into guessing than anything else. My theory
Yeah.
is that Jerry and Nadia were the Fleshgait.
The second I heard Nadia, and I was like, say anything just in case I missed.
Like hearing the name.
Miss
they
hearing
never-
the name.
They never, like initially, oh, Nadia walked up to me and asked about the lighter and that she couldn't find her. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess that's how they're going to introduce the second girl in the group. But then they introduced Jerry the exact same way. So, yeah,
And it's like, wait a
These-
minute.
these aren't the same characters. There's no way that they can be the same characters.
Yeah.
Especially that he's asking for the map, and it's like, dude, just wait. It's not light out. There's no light. Go to bed. Because if it's dark out, and I'm guessing over the summer, it is at least like 8 or 9 p.m. And if he's out there for a little while longer, it's around 9 to 10-ish. Maybe 11. Go to bed. Figure out the rest of the route tomorrow. Like, if I was there, I'd be like, no, I'm not giving you the fucking map. Go to bed.
For real.
But it's also insistent that this guy is not the most outdoorsy.
Yeah.
I woke up the next morning to the sound of Ian rustling around his bag. He sounded angrier the longer he searched. He knocked mess kits into each other as he peered deep into his pack for something he was missing. Frustrated that he wasn't finding the item he was looking for, he turned the bag upside down and dumped out everything. He was practically ready to tear out his own hair, and it seemed like he spent the entire morning looking for that one thing. Wanting to know what was up, I walked up to him and we started talking. He asked me,
Hey man, you seen the map anywhere? I can't seem to find it.
Where's Jerry? I gave him the map last night so we could map out a detour on the trip, so we could go visit a spring. Why don't you ask him? He probably knows.
I answered. It was then that Ian said something that changed everything.
Jerry? Who are you talking about? Do you mean Oliver? Don't tell me you thought his name was...
I explained.
No, I'm talking about Jerry, tall guy, kind of lanky.
You're joking, right?
He looked confused for a few seconds and made a questioning sound like a old computer trying to process something moments before it catches on fire. The pieces clicked into place and Ian shouted,
Who the hell is Jerry?
getting the
He
attention
he,
of everyone in the area.
he was.
Some guy asked you for a map in the middle of the night and you just gave it to him? You handed our stuff to some random stranger you met in the woods?
I tried to explain myself and tell him that I knew Jerry and that he did too since I remember hiking with him the day before, but I couldn't find the words to convey that point. It was here that Jessica stepped in and asked what was going on. Ian vented vitriol.
How fucking stupid are you, Evan? Some random guy named Jerry comes up to you in the middle of the night asking for our shit and you just give it to him? Jesus Christ. We needed that map to get around smoothly since the trails out here haven't been cleared.
Ian shouted for about 15 minutes while everyone became aware of our situation. Jessica managed to calm him down enough to Jessica managed to calm him down enough so we could figure out our next move. While we weren't completely screwed as Ian had memorized a large portion of the trail markers, it was going to be a lot harder to navigate the necessary junctions to bring us back around to our car. We packed up all our stuff, making sure that the guy hadn't taken anything else, and we left. So, I was right. Jerry is the Fleshgait, which means Nadia is more than likely the Fleshgait. And I like the detail about how he mentioned, like, you should know him too. We've been hiking with him all day.
But he couldn't really get that out too.
Yeah. But I like that thing because it goes with what I've been talking about with the Fleshgate, where it just it tricks you into thinking that it's always been with the group. So that
Yeah.
it's a fun little detail that I like. So we now know that there is Ian, Jessica, Evan, and Oliver. And there are two fakes, which is
Correct.
Nadia and Jerry, and we don't know who the second girl is yet. We'll figure that out soon.
Her name is Frank.
It's Frankella! She moved on after Frank died! Oh, wait, Waifu's not going to get that reference because he hasn't seen that section of. He hasn't seen the Harbinger experiment section.
Is that in the first one?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll continue watching it.
Alright.
Cut that part out. I can't be a host and not watch the whole thing.
Yeah. That. Like, here, it's a little more understandable because you're actively here, but catch up on the first two. Same with everybody
Yes, I
watching this
definitely.
episode. Catch up on the first two. In the second episode, if we get to 100 likes, we'll read all 15 entries of the Jeff the Killer rewrite. So, do that
Oh
and make
God,
everybody suffer. Yep, you didn't even know what you were signing up for there, waifu. You're stuck with this now. It was agreed on.
I hate that.
The entire hike, I could feel Ian's eyes drilling into me. The last time I had seen him this furious was just before he got into a fight with Aaron Fredlinger and beat him to a pulp. He got suspended for a week, and Aaron got a black eye, busted lip, and never said anything about our mother again. Each time we came across a break in the path, we spent a few minutes while Ian tried to remember where to go. The fact that the trails had been closed and the paths were overgrown only served to make everything more difficult. I think that's how we made a wrong turn and began wandering on the faint trail. I don't actually know if that's where it went wrong, since we didn't have the map at the time, but that's my best guess. Further away from home and safety. Towards midday, tensions had reached a critical point. Ian frequently mumbled things that would make a sailor blush, while Jessica tried to hide the fact that she was close to crying. Oliver attempted to lighten the situation by telling everyone that we just had to follow the compass and we would get home safe and sound. Oliver's
All right,
girlfriend
pause.
pausing.
You don't just follow a compass. A compass always points.
And a compass is really only useful if you have a map.
Yes.
Because, sure, it's like, okay, we walked north the first day for a majority of the day, so we just need to go south. And then you go south, but you don't know how far south you need to go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could go south and then walk so far south you walk past the. So, yeah, you don't just follow a compass.
And then you need to go
Exactly.
north.
I'm also a little remiss of having only one person with a map. I would probably say it'd be smart
Yeah.
for everyone to have a map. Because even if they don't necessarily know the best way to use it, it's still handy for everyone to have a map. Or even a backup. Have 2 maps. Have 3. Have everyone carry a map so that way if one person loses a map, we're still not out the entire map. Like, when I
Or
did.
take pictures of it.
Or take pictures. Like, when I did Northern Tier, which is a week-long canoeing trip in the boundary waters of. In the boundary waters of Minnesota, there was always at least 4 people with a map. I was one of the map bearers for a few days because I it was very convenient for me with the way that I had my kit set up to be able to look at the map, and I was at the front of the canoe for most of the time. So, I'll always have multiple map holders is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I haven't had much situations where I needed these maps. Mills, right? That one we all had maps. Every single map.
At the Airsoft Milsim event.
Everyone did. Yeah.
Right.
And if
I,
one
I
guy
was just
lost his map
clarifying
and then the other
that
guy.
because you cut out for when you were explaining that.
Yeah, no, it's every single guy had a map. And one guy did lose his, so but it didn't matter
It didn't matter
because
because everybody else had a
everyone
map.
else had a map. Yeah.
It's like, okay,
Like,
you and you're buddies now. Share a
yeah,
map.
you stay with him and we'll make sure that we know where we're going. Like, anyway.
Anyway, Oliver's girlfriend didn't say much. She just stared quietly at her feet as she walked. I think she had the right idea since Lucas was constantly misplacing his footing and slipping. He didn't look like he had downed a fifth of vodka and was trying to walk home on a
Restart that.
tightrope. Alright,
Restart that.
yeah. He looked like he had downed a fifth of vodka and was trying to walk home on a tightrope while being randomly shocked with a cattle prod. The realization twisted something deep down inside and made me want to throw up. I stopped walking and began talking to Lucas.
Who the fuck is Luca?
Exactly. So,
Yes. Yeah, so I just noticed that. Who is Lucas? So far,
they,
we have Ian.
there is no Lucas.
Yes. Jessica, Evan,
There's
Oliver, and Oliver's girlfriend. Lucas is brand new.
I'll voice Lucas. I'll voice Fleshgait for this.
All right. This is Evan asking. So, announcer, go ahead.
What's going on with you, man?
Ian, still pissed off at me, took this opportunity to vent a bit.
Huh? What are you talking about now?
Lucas is bumbling and twitching all over the place. What's wrong with him?
Don't be a dick, man. You know he has a late stage multiple sclerosis. We told you before the hike started about his condition.
As soon as he said it, the events came rushing back to me as clear as day. I recalled Ian pulling me to the side and telling me about his friend's diagnosis and how this was likely going to be his last opportunity to undertake a long hike like this, so we had to help him and move slowly. I remember watching him scramble up the trail and thinking about our own mom and her illness. It brought back bittersweet memories of birthday wishes given to us from hospital beds, infusions with disease-modifying therapeutics. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that shit. And hearing her sob quietly to herself in the middle of the night when she thought we were asleep. Guilt flooded over me, and I stepped forward to apologize to Lucas when it happened. Lucas growled at me the instant I took a step forward, and he dropped to a hunched positions on his hands and feet. It almost looked like his skin was bristling at the possible threat, and I could see his broken and decaying teeth as he hissed at all of us before taking off at a hopping stride into the woods. He moved like one of those CGI monstrosities from the last Planet of the Apes movies. His shaky and unstable balance was replaced by a more natural and animalistic gait as he loped into the distance and disappeared amongst the trees. The last thing I saw was what I assumed were its clothes sloughing off its body, revealing that they were actually clothes but gray folds of skin. Oliver was the first to talk.
What the fuck?
As soon as Oliver said those words, it was like a switch had flipped that set everyone into panic mode. We began to run along the trail as if it would do us any good. The only thought in my head was to put as much distance as possible between me and that thing. I think it took a good 15 minutes for us to run out of energy with our heavy packs and disorienting nature of the woods. As we tried to catch our breaths, I surveyed the area around us and came to a terrible realization. In our panic, we had run off the path and were now even deeper in the woods. We tried to make sense of what we saw. I just remember Ian mumbling the same phrase over and over.
What the hell was that, man? What the hell was that?
The short answer is that it was Lucas. The long of it is this. There was no Lucas. Not really. I'm sorry for interrupting the story in the middle like this, but I think now is the best time to try to explain everything. I know how confusing this all seems with Jerry and Lucas. The truth is, I did that because I don't think I could have appropriately explained it to you without you first experiencing it from my eyes. I don't know what to call those things, but they do something to your mind. They insinuate themselves into your memories, they wrap themselves up in your wall of your recollections, and even though you know something is wrong, you can't quite put your finger on it. Your group of 4 friends could grow to 5, and you would never be the wiser. A part of you stupidly admonished you for ever wondering how many there were. Alright, pausing real quick again.
Okay.
Does anyone else think that Oliver's girlfriend is a Fleshgait too?
Possibly.
She's quiet, she just constantly looks down, she doesn't really do anything, say anything.
We don't even know her name yet.
We don't even know her name yet, because it's very firmly established that they can just implant memories into your brain about you knowing them for however long.
All right, while we're paused, I'm going to use the bathroom.
We will collectively all go take a pee break. Announcer, even if you don't, just go. Alright, you're back.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh, no way. I'm on the first one back.
I'm the fastest piss in the West, boy. You ain't out pissing me.
You gonna let your girl hold it for you?
Would you let your wife?
Yes. What editing software do you use?
DaVinci Resolve.
What is it called again?
DaVinci Resolve.
DaVinci?
DaVinci? Yeah. Wow, you're the first person to make that joke. It's totally not like Announcer was making it, and then I was making it, and then me and Announcer were making it, and now you're making it.
Driving in my car right after a beer.
Hey, Announcer's back. Alright.
Anyway, by the way, guys, Pee Wee Herman died.
Don't
Oh.
play that right after you announce a man dying. I'll just restart the paragraph. The short answer is that it was Lucas. The long of it is this. There was no Lucas. Not really. I'm sorry for interrupting the story in the middle like this, but I think now is the best time to try and explain everything. I know how confusing this all seems with Jerry and Lucas. The truth is, I did that because I don't think I could have appropriately explained it to you without you first experience it from my eyes. I don't know what to call those things, but they do something to your mind. They insinuate themselves into your memories, they wrap themselves up in a wall of your recollections, and even though you know something is wrong, you can't quite put a finger on it. Your group of 4 friends could grow to 5 and you won't be any the wiser. A part of you will stupidly admonish you for ever wondering how many there were. You look at it, you recognize the face, you remember events, you can recall getting drunk at a bar together. You have memories of them crying on your shoulder after a rough breakup. You can recollect everything that happened between you. But none of it's true. I don't know how it does it. It crawls into your head and somehow makes you see things in a way that benefits them. It can mold memories, it can mimic human movement. It walks on 4 claws, not 2. It growls, it hisses and snarls. It doesn't talk. It infiltrates, observes, and waits. It was hunting us and trying to drive us deeper into the woods. It was succeeding. We never really reached much of a conclusion about what that thing was, but we did reach a consensus that we had to get out of here as soon as possible. I watched Ian as he looked around the forest and came to the same realization that I did. We were lost. He didn't tell the others. I think he realized that panicking would only get us in more trouble. Instead, he told us to follow him. With the shock of our encounter setting in, we could do nothing but follow his lead and hope it all worked out. As we walked, we could hear the sounds of distant animals yowling and calling out to each other. The terror of our situation deepened as the others whispered that those were the same noises they heard the first night out in the woods. Whatever this thing was, it was following us and calling out to other things in the area. At the time, I couldn't stop thinking about one of them barreling out from the underbrush and sinking its black and rotting teeth into my neck before the rest of the group could react. I remember brushing the thought off and mentally reassuring myself that there were 6 of us here and we had only actually encountered one of those creatures. If violence was needed, we outnumbered them.
There's that 6 of you,
Did
buddy.
everybody count that?
There's
1,
that 6.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
1, 2, 6. Yeah.
Yeah, that works,
Oh, we're all
guys.
here.
There's announcer, waifu, and Beryl there. Good old Beryl.
And then, oh, Beryl. And then,
We love Larry.
Larry,
I
yeah.
love Larry. And, what's her name?
Larry was actually the best man at my wedding, not Stevie.
Yeah.
What was her name? What was her name? She said her name was like. I love her, dude. She's
Oh,
so
yeah. Great singer, honestly. Like,
great. She could play guitar too.
oh, yeah. No, very talented. Honestly.
She played guitar when I got married to my husband. I have a husband.
You mean when Stevie got married to his husband?
No, his husband. Don't you remember? Jim?
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, see? Jim was pretty good. I actually introduced Jim an announcer.
Wow.
What were we talking about again?
How many of us?
Oh, right,
are here
Fleshgaits.
again? Oh, that's right. There's
Those
9 of us.
creatures, those creatures that
9 of us.
infiltrate your memories and implant false ideas into them. Kind of like that one
Like I
Rick and
said.
Morty episode.
Like I said, there's only 12 of us. It'll be fine.
All right, all 13 of you guys, focus up. Let's get back to the story.
You know, by the way,
I'm good.
You had something, announcer?
No. I was just
Alright.
gonna say we all 22 of us outnumbered.
Ah, yeah, no. Thank
Yeah.
God, man. Always
Thank
travel in big
God.
groups, you know?
At least groups of 30. Thank God we have a group of 50.
Oh, yeah, no. Group of 70 is perfect for this type of situation.
Mhm.
Oh yeah,
And
by
Glad
the
we
way,
have the whole state of Ohio here with us.
Not only that, we also have the Denver Broncos here from 1976. That year specifically. It's crazy.
Can't
I
believe they're
have
all
to
still
look this
alive.
up.
All right. Everybody
From
ready?
The poor
1976.
listeners just watching this be like,
Have a schizophrenic meltdown.
yeah. But at least we're having a schizophrenic meltdown. One
Together.
creature
All
that
all
infiltrates your
30,000 of
memories.
us.
All 30,000 of us.
We are Fleshgait.
Dude, I can't believe we got 30,000 people. This little tiny Andromeda.
Yeah. No, it's crazy the amount of hosts we have. All
Dude.
42,567 of us.
Thank God none of these people are Fleshgates.
Yeah, thank God, am I right, guys? That would be crazy right now.
That'd be awful. Dude, that's why they call me the Doomslayer.
Yeah. I mean, like,
And you the Doomslayer.
my avatar's literally a monster hunter. Like, I feel like out of anybody here, I would know a Fleshgate if we saw one.
Dude, holy shit, one of our
Out of all
Doomslayer.
9,252 of us, I'd be the one to know what a Fleshgate is. Like, I'd see it so far out. Anyway, as the day pressed on and we seemingly wandered south in an attempt to pick up another trail that would lead us back to the parking lot, I couldn't help but shake a nagging feeling in the back of my mind. It felt like I had forgotten some important fact that I should have never forgotten about. It wasn't until Oliver mentioned his wish of being back in the car that Jessica stopped dead in her tracks. We all turned towards her, but knew what was coming the second she asked.
We only took one car down, right?
Ian snapped, more fearful than frustrated.
Of course we did. Remember how cramped everyone was in that tiny ass Prius? With all of our camping gear smashed in the trunk and on our laps? What about it?
Jessica went white as if there was the first time that Ian had ever raised his voice to her. She paused for a moment before asking,
How many of us are here right now? And how many does your car seat?
Ian's car sat 4 people comfortably, 5 uncomfortably, and there were 6 of us out in the woods at that moment. Everything happened at once. Ian swore, Oliver's girlfriend gave a half shriek and a half gasp while I looked wide-eyed from person to person, trying to figure out which one of us didn't belong there. Sarah was the only one who managed to say something, and that was, she hadn't finished her words before her jaw popped open. I didn't even oh my goodness. Oh, this is such a good story. Because you're just like going from person to person, and then it's just like, oh yeah. And then Sarah was the one that spoke up. And then it just, like, that revealed to me as, oh, that was so good. That revealed to me as the characters realized that too. That was so good.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm nerding out. I'll get back to the story.
No.
I don't mean that it dropped open like she was astonished at something. It popped open as it dislocated from her face. The space between her lips was a massive sickly pink, void of inflamed gums that was at least half a foot wide. She looked at us with dead and dull eyes as she slowly raised a twitching hand up to her jaw and tried to lock it back into a more human-esque appearance. She popped it back into place with a hollow-sounding squelch of meat and bone, shifting as if nothing was wrong about what had just happened before she tried to speak again. It's me. Ian was the first to react. He stepped towards the failed facsimile of a human and swung his walking stick at her face while bellowing.
Get out of here.
She hopped back from the attack in a sloppy motion and landed on all fours. Her body shuddered as if an electrical jolt had passed through her as she slowly backed away from us while facing Jessica the entire time. She hissed at us one last time before retreating deeper into the woods with a convulsing lope. It took a moment for us to regain our composure before we continued walking while trying to look in every direction at once. I remember Oliver rambling as we walked. He kept asking, although no one was responding to him.
What place Oliver is at me?
Oliver's waifu.
Ah.
Did you see how it moved? You ever seen one of those documentaries about mad cow disease? That thing was twitching and moving like one of those infected cows. What the hell was that thing? Was it a person? What kind of person could do that to their body? It tried to talk to us.
He rambled for hours before we had to stop. We had to tell him to shut up because we were worried about that thing hearing us, though that really wasn't the case. We made him stop talking because it only served to scare us further. Despite stopping for the night, none of us actually slept. We sat around a campfire and listened to the sound of high-pitched whining and yelping coming from all around us. It seemed like any time I actually got close to falling asleep, the calls would start up and jolt me awake. We spoke in hushed whispers and tried to figure out what they wanted with us, even though none of us really wanted the answer to that question. The hours dragged on almost endlessly before dawn broke and we continued our hike. We spent Sunday hiking around and trying to find a familiar sight, without any real sense of where we were and where we were going. Our only hope was to stumble across another hiker or find an area with a high enough vantage point that we could survey the entire area. Unfortunately, any elevations we climbed didn't afford a good view of the area, and it was extremely unlikely that we would find another hiker due to the fact that the trail had been closed and wasn't cleared. Even if we did, what were the chances that we would trust them and could be certain that it wasn't one of those things? Midway through the day, Ian whispered to me,
Count the people wearing backpacks. One of them is with us again.
I casually looked over my shoulder and noticed that that one of our group was walking without any gear. They trailed behind us, but were still in our vicinity. They moved slowly, but didn't show any of the jerky movements of the previous two. The thought that it was learning to mimic our movements unsettled me. Without really thinking, I shucked off my backpack and approached the imposter. Before they knew what was happening, I shoved them as hard as I could. The instant my hands pressed into their shirt, I felt something slick and warm give way like the outer layer falling off a rotting mango. Their shirt slid off their body into my hands, and I quickly realized it was their skin. The thing was actually naked, but gave the appearance of clothes by altering the color of its almost translucent skin. I dropped the swath of tissue that had sloughed off, and it impacted the ground with a wet slap. The creature toppled backwards and began yelping. I can only describe the sound like this. Imagine getting out of your bed in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. As you are feeling your way through the darkness to get out of the room, you step on your dog's tail. Imagine that startled yelp of pain and the shock that comes along with it. Now focus on that emotion you felt when you heard that noise, the sudden surprise and guilt. In reality, the sound it made was nothing like a hurt dog. It just reminded me so much of a wounded pet that I can't differentiate the sounds. Here's the worst part. I shouldn't have felt bad. Those things were stalking and tormenting us. They were likely hunting us, and I felt bad for harming it. I shouldn't have felt bad about it, but it wanted me to, and so I did. The thing writhed on the ground on its back for a few seconds, making a pitiable noise. It reached back with its arms and pushed itself upright on its hands and on the balls of its feet. Its joints popped wetly, and its muscles and bones adjusted to fit the new position. It crab-crawled away while shrieking the entire time as Ian pursued it with a walking stick, hoping to catch up to it and cave its head in. It wasn't until the thing and Ian disappeared from sight that I realized that the shrieking wasn't just coming from the monster, but from Jessica as well. It was trying to mimic her response. With Ian gone and Jessica's screams possibly drawing more of those things to us, I decided that I had to do something. I stepped forward and wrapped her in my arms. She was shaking like a leaf in the wind. I stroked her hair and whispered that it was over. She managed to choke out something about its face. All I could make out was that it was something. All I could make out was that something was terribly wrong with its face. She calmed down and I told her that everything was going to be alright. I didn't believe that myself, but it was the only thing I could think of that might bring her comfort. Ian returned, fuming that the monster escaped, and I awkwardly broke off the hug. Ian didn't say anything. He just started walking after, motioning us wordlessly to follow. We continued following him, hoping that he would find the way, but knowing that he probably wouldn't.
All right, pause here. I think they're specifically trying to mimic Jessica. That's why she was freaking out.
Because it was mimicking her face specifically,
Yes.
and her screams and all that stuff. I also think
hmm
that Evan taking off his backpack was the stupidest thing he could do.
Yes, because I
Because,
have a feeling that they made him forget he even had a backpack. And now that they know they'll differentiate them by backpacks, they
yeah,
will use that against them.
yeah, because counting the hiking gear that people have is really the only way they can tell, because from the sounds of it, they can't really replicate gear. They can really only replicate clothing.
Yes.
6 hours later, we settled down for the night. It felt like we had been going in circles all day and made absolutely no progress. For all we knew, the thing could have been tinkering around with our memories and convincing us that familiar landmarks were new and luring us deeper into the woods. I didn't tell the others, but I think I knew that what those things wanted with us. They wanted to lead us deeper into the woods. They were trying to force us to exhaustion, and when we were too weak to defend ourselves, they would descend upon us and eat us. Oliver was right about that. If that thing is similar to us in any way, then those twitching spasms were likely some sort of prion disorder that came from eating humans. I like that detail. A small detail,
That
but I
is a
like it.
very good detail. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
After eating some jerky, since we decided against having a fire and drawing more of them to us, we reached the conclusion that we would have to sleep in shifts. I volunteered for the first watch because my insight into the monster's behavior had robbed me of any desire to sleep. The others went off without so much as another word. They were exhausted, and it wasn't until an hour into my watch that I realized that I was too. Even given the monster's grotesque appearance, everyone needs sleep. Jessica joined me about 2 hours into my watch. She admitted that she couldn't sleep after our encounter with the creature. I nodded in agreement. Both of us had seen something terrible that the others hadn't. We talked for a good 30 minutes about what we thought was going on and how everyone was handling it. She was worried about Ian. She confessed that he was acting erratic and that he was scaring her. I wrapped my arm around her for a moment and told her that we were all scared. She looked in my eyes and told me that she was glad I was here, and I felt something twist deep down inside me that I had buried long time ago when I first met her. Oh boy.
Ooh, yikes.
That, this is
There's Chekhov's gun.
this is not the time, Evan. This is not the time.
There's Chekhov's gun. That's gonna
Mm-hmm.
appear later.
Oh wait. Okay, hold on. I'll read up to it, but I think Chekhov's gun was already cocked and now the hammer's dropping. The longer she stayed with me on watch, the more personal our conversation became. She confessed that she and Ian had been fighting a lot recently, and that she was wondering if they were going to work it all out. At the start of their relationship, they were great together. He made her feel wonderful and comfortable. But now there was something that didn't feel right, like there was something missing. I listened to her talk about everything that was going on in her life, and I knew I had to do something. I knew that if I didn't do it now, I would regret it. I had to tell her about the door.
And on the side, there is a video called "The Door" by the Dark Somnium that we can all watch real quick.
How long is it?
I don't know.
It seems kind of long, actually.
Yeah, we can skip it.
I'm not watching that.
Uh,
And there's no,
um,
I have no sound.
50 likes will read the door.
There we go.
Cheap way to do that, but whatever. You guys can also just recommend it in the comments. Anyway,
Like that.
I do really like this author, even with all the run-on sentences, so I would have no qualms about reading The Door.
Mm-hmm.
Does she know about the D-O-R-E?
Uh-huh.
The door.
Door.
She listened quietly as I told her everything. It was the event that precipitated my breakdown at work and my social anxiety disorder diagnosis at the therapist's office. Everything started off simply enough one Friday at work. I was in the lunchroom eating my sandwich and reading a book as per usual while my coworkers talked about their plans for the weekend. One of them was having a housewarming party and they were inviting everyone at work. I figured that the invitation was only extended to the people he was talking to until he asked me if I would be able to make it on Saturday. As it was the first time I had been invited to hang out after work, I chose to go. Okay, I guess they're just going to tell us about the door now. I spent all of Saturday getting ready, planning what were interesting topics to bring up in case there was a lull in conversation, and the bottle of wine I was planning to give as a housewarming gift. After psyching myself up, I left to go to the party with the bottle in hand and my spirits high. I convinced myself that I was going to be the life of the party, and that maybe, if I played my cards right, I could finally find a friend at work that would make the time fly by instead of dragging on. It wasn't until I reached the house that the false bravado began to crumble apart. I stopped in front of the neighbor's house as everywhere else already had a car parked there. It was then that I felt my heart beating like I had just run a mile. I began heading up the driveway with the wine bottle slick in my hands from my palms sweating. It wasn't until I reached the front door that I realized that something was terribly wrong. I was breathing faster. All that excitement had been building up since Friday afternoon, and now replaced with something else. Apprehension. All those topics I had thought up seemed boring, and all the reassurances I had given myself seemed hollow. I didn't feel prepared for this at all. At this point, a small part of me whispered something that had stuck with me to this very day. The voice intimidated that they were never really wanted me to come out. They had only given that invitation as a courtesy and didn't actually expect me to come out to their house. It said if I knocked on that door that I would be making a fool out of myself. It told me that I wasn't even comfortable in my own skin, so how could I even dare to imagine that they would enjoy my company? They wanted to celebrate with their friends. They didn't want to listen to me fumble for something to talk about. All those fears flashed in front of me, taunting me, demanding that I knock on the door and make myself look like an idiot. That part of me told me that I was better off alone, and I listened. I turned around without even knocking on the door, and I left. No one had come in, and the music was playing loudly, so I doubt they would have even heard anyways. I shouldn't have been there in the first place. Maybe I saw them watching me from the window. Maybe I didn't. Maybe they were laughing at me as I drove away, flustered and embarrassed. Maybe they were back to the party and joked about the social recluse who had seemingly freaked out and run away from their house while I went home and cried in the shower. Maybe. Jessica listened as I told her the story. She smiled sadly as I started to cry into her shoulder. All those feelings I had experienced outside my coworker's house came rushing back. All that fear, foolishness, and fantastic failure smashed into me like waves on shore. Go ahead,
Can I
announcer.
pause? So, I don't know if you noticed this, but when he was talking about the memories, he said getting drunk at a party one night and stumbling into them, crying on their shoulder. Right. And so far, Jessica has had both of those experiences with Ian and Evan. Maybe I'm reading a little too much into
Wait,
that.
repeat that?
So, if you go back up to the point where he's like, they breach into your memories, and you swear you remember getting drunk and meeting them, and then
Crying into
crying
their
into the
shoulder and all that.
shoulder. Yeah, in that order. And so far, you've learned about Evan got drunk, met Jessica at the party, and now Ian is crying on her, or Evan is crying on her shoulder.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't think that's interesting. I still think Oliver's girlfriend is a little more suspicious, just because
She hasn't been named.
she doesn't even have a name yet. That might be a red
And
herring, but
she hasn't said anything either.
yeah, she hasn't really said
You're right.
anything.
I think the first night they ate and replaced her. That's what I think so far.
They ate Oliver's girlfriend or Jessica?
Yes, Oliver's girlfriend.
Okay. All right. She whispered soothing words into my ear and waited for me to collect myself. Once I did, she pulled away and told me that it wasn't my fault. It was there under the moonlight with her face inches away from mine that I did the worst thing I had ever done in my life. I kissed her. Damn it, Evan, this isn't the time. None of that is the time to do this.
And I bet Ian is awake.
Oh, yeah, no, Ian's definitely finding out about this. There's no way. This is where everybody's breaking off and getting killed. Because, man, how dare you?
You cut out.
You cut out.
I cut out. Oh. That's a first. Yeah, no, this is definitely where everybody's breaking apart and start getting picked off. Because Ian's
Stevie?
going to... What?
$5 as his Wi-Fi went out.
Oh my god. Fucking god.
Well, sorry about that. Technical difficulties, which I'm not happy about, but it's the way the cookie crumbles. It's the way the Communist Party dissolves, you know? Alright. So, everybody can hear me, correct?
Yes.
Alright. So, when Evan kissed her, I'm pretty sure that Ian's going to find out, the group's going to break apart, however the hell it decides to, and that's when everybody's going to start getting picked off, because this isn't the time to do that, Evan. You idiot.
Evan, you blibiot. God, like you're dying and you kiss. Like you could be dying, right? When you kiss your boyfriend.
I mean,
I'd be way too paranoid about all the people that I was actively with. Especially with how close they're getting to mimicking us. Like, you lean, you kiss, and then you pull out and, like, the skin stretches along with you. Ugh, no. I'm not risking it. Screw that. I ain't gonna... No. Especially if the implanted memory is that she's your brother's girlfriend. No. Alright, well, I guess we should get through this section, at least, so we can get to the part where the Fleshgait eats everybody. I kissed her. It was slow, hesitant, perfect. I looked into her eyes and I saw her beautiful face. She pulled me towards her as she leaned back. Lost in the moment, I held her against me while telling her all the things I should have said when I first met her and realized that I loved her. You piece of shit. Anyway, I held her like that for a few moments, afraid that if I let her go, I would lose this perfect moment. She was warm, she smelled like wildflowers. She smelled like happiness. For the first time in what felt like a lifetime, I felt comfortable and content. I don't know when I drifted off, but I do remember waking up in the love-drunk excitement of the previous night. I didn't think once about Ian or the consequences of my decision. I only thought about Jessica and the feelings that I had tried to keep buried for so long. What I did last night was a beautiful mistake. I convinced her to cheat on him with me. I needed to tell him before the truth came out. I needed him to understand how I felt. I needed to apologize. I got up from the ground and stretched. Jessica was gone. I assumed she had gone back to her sleeping role in the middle of the night. I walked over to Ian, who was just waking up. He rubbed the sleep out of his eyes and asked me if I stayed up all night. The words bled out of me. Once they started, I couldn't stop.
I don't know what happened, man. We were just talking one moment and then the next. Jesus, I didn't mean for it to happen. You know I love you, man. I wouldn't do anything to hurt you. It just happened. And now I can't take it back.
Jessica's cry of surprise cut me off before I could go any further. Both me and Ian turned to the sound of her distress, and we knew instantly what had happened. The backpacks with our compass, food, and water had been stolen. It knew. Don't you see it, goddammit? It knew that they could identify it without a backpack, and it could...
I told you.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm also very firm in my opinion that that wasn't Jessica, that was the Fleshgait. Mashing faces with the Fleshgait. Crazy episode we're in.
Isn't that right, Larry?
Yeah, Larry.
Yeah, Larry.
Larry, you were there. Was Evan cute?
Yeah, Evan.
All Larry's doing is just hissing and convulsing on the ground. I don't know how to interpret that, so I'm just going to keep reading.
I think that's a yes.
It's a yes? Okay. Well, you know, if Evan was truly the snack that Larry's saying he is, then I guess I can't fault him for it. It knew. Don't you see it, goddammit? It knew that we could identify it without a backpack, and it could shape its skin to take the appearance of one, so it stole them away from us. Now the next time it wormed its way into our group, we wouldn't be any the wiser. Jessica and I never talked that night. Jessica never left my brother's side that night. They had zipped their sleeping rolls together. She didn't open up to me about her worries, and I never actually kissed her. I poured my heart out to a thing wearing Jessica's skin while it was in my arms as it implanted memories of conversations never shared into my mind. I confessed my truest feelings to an ersatz entity masquerading as a person. I felt sick.
Oh God, dude, what the?
Ugh.
Dang, we were right on the money. No pre-reading, we swear. I was 100% joking about him mashing faces with the Fleshgait. Larry, you dog.
Look, dude, that means
Larry.
that means it had perfectly
Let's
replicated.
not get into... Oh, it perfectly replicated one of them.
Yeah.
Oh.
Meaning, Evan could be the last one, and he would never know.
Yeah. Oh. Now I'm even more suspicious of Oliver's girlfriend. Like, that's
So am I.
crazy. The others woke up quickly after hearing Jessica screaming. We quickly searched around the area, hoping to find some scrap of food or some indication of where our stuff had been taken to. We found nothing. It was long gone. We had no food, no water, and no hope. We had no way of telling when one of those things was hijacking our heads and pretending to be part of our group so it could distract us. With our compass gone, we had no means of following a set direction and hoping to pick the trail back up. In short, we were screwed with a capital S. Pause. No, you're not. Follow the sun.
Yeah.
It always rises in the east, sets in the west. So the only time that you really wouldn't know where you're going is noon. Other than that, just when you wake up, keep the sun to your... If you're trying to go
Left.
south, keep your sun to the left, and then by the end of the day, it should be on your right. You also can tell time with the sun, because if you stick a stick straight up and down, you can measure the inches, about like the inches of the shadow, and then however many inches it is the time of day it is. And then if you don't see a shadow, it's noon, because it's straight up and down. Anyway, that's
Maybe
just...
if you're in Hawaii on the summer solstice, that's the only time shadows are straight up and down.
Oh, true. Or like shadow being center line with the
Yes.
stick. But point being, this was just the scout brain working overdrive to tell people about survival stuff. These guys are idiots. They clearly aren't an Eagle Scout. Granted, waifu was probably in scouts just as long as me.
Longer.
So, longer. Well, did you do Cub Scouts?
I did.
Bobcat?
Before Bobcat.
Before
Before
Bobcat?
the before Lion Scouts were introduced, I was that.
Okay.
I was an honorary scout.
Okay. So yeah, he has me beat. And you still didn't get Eagle?
I got lazy. Dude, you know how hard my mom went on popcorn? That just completely demotivated me.
That's fair.
Rose,
That's fair.
how do you run into a table that's been there 4 months?
And apparently, announcers' dogs can barely even navigate their own living space, but... So that makes me feel better about my sense of direction. Actually, I got kind of a funny story about getting lost in New Mexico.
Hold on.
So.
Hold on. Waifu, did you say you had to go to bed at 20?
I'm chilling.
Alright.
We're already recording.
So.
Yeah, and I had grocery shopping to do today, but never mind.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't expect this to take so long.
How long have we been recording so far?
The last recording said 3 hours and 20-something minutes, but that was because we also had a bunch of long pauses in there, so we've probably been recording for about 2 hours. I'll be sure to keep this story brief, but...
No, this is by far the best story so far.
No, I'm talking about the story that I'm about to tell about Philmont.
Oh, gotcha.
It was second to last day of Philmont, and...
Is he dead again?
Nope, I'm just searching for something.
While you're looking for that, I'm gonna do...
No, I just found it, so...
Oh, fuck me in the ass.
So, it was second to last day of Philmont. I was not navigating, so let's just clarify that. But we were navigating, and we had the option of either camping at the base of the Tooth of Time, or hiking up to the campsite that's midway up the Tooth of Time. And the Tooth of Time is this one mountain peak that overlooks the base camp. And from what we've heard from other troops and stuff, the sunrise is absolutely beautiful there. So we had the option of either hike up to it or just wait at the base and then hike up in the morning and then not watch the sunrise. We all wanted to watch the sunrise because we heard it was beautiful. So we decided to hike a little extra that day up to the midway camp so that way we could hike up in the morning and see the sunrise. So we start hiking. And as we're hiking, one of the trail guides that was separating from the group to go back to base camp was passing us and said, "You guys hiking up to the Tooth of Time?" "Yes, sir, we are." "Alright, well, you be careful because this trail's really rocky up ahead and it's real easy to get lost off of it." And we all kind of shrug him off like, "We'll be fine. You don't need to worry about us." And we start hiking up, and it's kind of a really perilous and sketchy trail. Like, we're basically crawling at points because of how steep it is, and the ground's really loose, and so if people like nudge something a little too hard and a rock starts sliding down, they have to like shout down and let everybody know to watch out for the rock that's sliding down the hill. And we eventually get up to this little flat rocky area where we can actually like stand and take a break. And we stand up and we look over, and we looked like 40 feet to our right and see the trail that we were actually supposed to be on. And it turns out that, like, almost immediately we got lost and got off the trail and just hiked up a random section of the mountain. And it felt like this scene from the Angry Birds movie. I'll have it on screen. Because we got there and we're like, oh, man, that was really perilous. That's the trail we were supposed to be on. And so it took us like an extra 2 hours to navigate to find a path back to that trail. We had to end up going across this granite boulder field that was on the mountain just to get back onto the path. And then we hiked up to the base camp. And we were all very thankful that we decided to hike up that day instead of in the morning, because it would have been much worse in the dark when we were hiking during the morning. You want to know the funniest part about this entire thing? The next day, we all woke up early to hike up the Tooth of Time to watch the sunrise, and it was cloudy. All clouded over. We couldn't even see the sunrise. So, yeah, that's my story about getting lost in Philmont. Getting back to the story. You guys ready?
I am.
Alright, announcer? Announcer?
I bet he's muted.
He's probably muted. Oh, dear God, they got him too!
I'm back.
Oh, hey, back, I'm Stevy. Anyway,
Why?
did you hear any of the story that I just told?
No, I honestly left to go do laundry.
Alright, well, I guess
Wild.
you're going to hear the episode. You're going to hear it in the episode.
Yeah.
So, getting back to it, Oliver demanded to know what I was doing last night. He wanted to know how I could be so careless as to fall asleep when I should have been watching over them and our gear. I lied and told him that someone had come around in the middle of the night to relieve me from my shift. I didn't mention that it was one of those things impersonating Jessica. I couldn't bear to look either my brother or his girlfriend in the eyes at that point. Oliver started to yell, but stopped when he saw I was on the verge of tears. I don't know if it was mercy or disgust that caused him to stop. At this point, it doesn't matter. We gathered up the only thing that they hadn't taken in the night, our sleeping rolls, and continued walking. The hike without water or the prospect of food was unbearable. We were already exhausted, and the realization that we were soon going to be starving and dehydration only served to sap more of our energy. Within a few hours of our march, my mouth felt gummy and dry. While we were still under the canopy of leaves, the temperature was still in the high 80s and low 90s. It didn't take long for dehydration to set in. I kept licking my lips in an attempt to keep them moist, but I could feel them beginning to crack as my saliva began to dry up. As we walked, Oliver picked up his pace and caught up with me. I looked over at him and knew, without him saying anything, that another one of those things had joined the group. He whispered,
Don't
Yep.
directly at it. Just keep it in the corner of your eyes. I think that's how it messes with your mind. It'll explain why you remember that guy that night, but the rest of us can't. You saw him, but the rest of us didn't. Don't get close. Keep it in the corner of your eyes. It's been trailing us for about half an hour now. I think it just wants to watch and follow us.
I pretended to be cracking my neck and looked at the tag-along in my peripheral vision. It trailed behind us about a dozen feet. In its resting state, its facial features appeared staticky. I could make out eyes and a nose, but it was constantly shifting and rippling like bubbling plastic. At this point, we were too tired to even bother with chasing it off. We just kept walking in hope that it wouldn't try to join the group. It seemed content to keep its distance and keep us in its line of sight. It followed us for about 2 miles before it broke off towards the trees with a shambling, awkward gait. We were too tired to even try and set up a shift system. We just huddled together in an attempt to convince ourselves that we were safer when we were closer together. But every time one of us got comfortable enough to drift off, those things would start making noise. Those noises started off as high-pitched yips whose sound seemed to travel for miles. As the night drew on, They grew more aggressive. I remember one time I was drifting off hearing the grating rasp of my name. Heaven. The things weren't just following us. They were learning. They were perfecting their mimicry. They thought disturbed me more than the idea. Oh, the thought disturbed me more than the idea of them out there watching us in the darkness. How long would it take them to become more human than human? What would they do once they were capable of walking amongst people again? I drifted off to sleep with that thought beating around in my head like a man trapped inside a wall. We got up on Wednesday morning and left without a word. A small part of my brain nagged at me and told me that it should actually be Tuesday morning, but I knew it was already Wednesday. Why didn't I have any memories of the day before? At this point, there was nothing left to say. I don't think anyone wanted to theorize on the missing day from all our recollection. Some of us had been awake all night without any food or water. The constant stress had completely worn us down. It was just that, nothing else. We continued hiking in the same direction we had been going in with false hope that we could come across someone. In the end, our hike looked more like a death march. My feet were covered in blisters and we had ruptured and plastered the soles of my feet to my socks. Every step felt like I was tearing open the sores a bit more. Ugh. In an attempt to take my mind off the discomfort, I focused on my brother who was walking in front of me. He wasn't as much walking as he was limping forward. He had stopped using his walking stick and was dragging it behind him like a broken limb. I watched as he stepped over a rock and the walking stick slipped out of his hands. He kept dragging himself forward as if nothing had happened. He didn't even register it falling out of his hands. It was at that point I knew that something was wrong. I knew that my brother wasn't my brother anymore. The evidence of the entire missing memories of a day, the fact that we were going deeper into the woods, his awkward gait was enough to tell me that. I just knew he wasn't my brother. Not anymore, my brain told me. I quietly picked up his stick as I passed. Amy went to call out to him and ask if he was all right, but I shushed her. I was so sure that one of those things had replaced him and now leading us deeper into the woods. I realized that I would only have one chance at this. The instant it knew that we knew, it would try and run away. All it would take was one good swing to the back of its head, and we would be able to take out one of those things. The sturdy stick had a bit of weight to it, about 5 or 6 pounds, enough to crack open a skull if it was swung hard enough. I began walking faster, trying to avoid the underbrush that might give away my approach. The thing wearing my brother's skin continued limping forward as I drew closer. I waited until I was within swinging distance before raising the walking stick above my head. My heart was beating in my chest and my palms were so sweaty that it felt like the stick would slide right out of my hands. It kept moving forwards, completely unaware of what I was about to do to it. I whispered, "Announcer,"
I'm sorry.
just before I swung the walking stick down with all my strength. Ian turned to face me as he mumbled groggily, "Waifu."
Oh, that's right. Sorry for what?
My muscles locked and I stopped mid-swing and the stick stopped just inches away from his face. He blinked in surprise before muttering.
Evan, what's wrong?
His voice sounded distant and empty, like he was in between a waking and sleep state. It was then that I knew the extent of his condition. He was pale and looked like the slightest breeze could blow him over. He wasn't one of those things. He was delirious from dehydration, sleep deprivation, and starvation. The walking stick fell out of my hands and bounced on the ground next to us. I dragged my tongue across my lips and it felt like I was licking sandpaper. I whimpered,
Jesus, Ian, I thought you were one of those things. I almost. Oh, God, I'm so sorry.
He didn't react to my apology. He just turned around and continued walking in the direction we were going. Amy just watched everything unfold.
Who?
Yeah,
That's the second time he's mentioned Amy.
Did you guys not notice that?
I caught it the first time.
I heard
I was
Anansi
laughing
catch
at
it.
him.
Waifu, did you not catch that?
Oh, I didn't.
Amy was the person who tried to call out to him, and Evan shushed her. And is like, no, don't let me do this. So not only can the Fleshgaits trick you into thinking they're people, they can also trick you into thinking someone else is a Fleshgait if they're tired enough. They're playing off of your
That's
paranoia.
interesting.
Amy just watched everything unfold numbly before she started following him. Oliver shook his head sadly, but he didn't look any better. His eyes were glazed and his lips were cracked and red from rubbing at them. I watched my brother shambling forward, and it reminded me of one of those old voodoo movies where someone is put into a trance and forced to work until they die from exhaustion. His mouth hung open, and he moved like he was being dragged along on puppet strings.
Where's Jessica?
Where's the girlfriend?
Yeah, where's Jessica?
And Oliver's girlfriend.
She hasn't been
Probably
mentioned in a while.
Yeah, they're probably cooked. I wonder how much... I picked up the walking stick and began to follow them. I wondered how much longer he had left in him, and what any of us could do if he just fell over and stopped walking. I wondered how much longer any of us had. I didn't know how long we walked. Everything melted together in a muddled malaise at the time. I remembered the sun setting and rising, but I can't recall how many times. Even though I tried, I remembered a muddled melange of sleepless nights and wakeless days. I remembered losing my footing and tripping a few times, but I barely felt it. The third time I didn't even realize I was laying on the ground until Jessica stepped on me as she was passing by. There was no apology. She was far too gone to recognize that what she had stepped on. I dragged myself to my feet and felt lightheaded, but continued putting one foot in front of the other. The fifth time I fell, I wondered if it would have been better to just lay down and wait to die. An excited yop behind me from one of those things drove me to my feet. It wasn't until we bumped into the sign for Little Bear Canyon that I realized how close we were to salvation. I'm gonna pause right here. Have either of you had like heat exhaustion or
No.
any type of temperature-based
Only, like-
illness?
Only during working out.
Okay.
While I was with the Marines at Camp Lejeune, I was PTing with them, and I threw up like 4 times.
Did that time feel kind of as timeless as this? That's the
No,
way they're
because mine
describing
was very like the onset was super quick. It was like 1 minute I was just breathing heavy, the next I was like, I have to lay down, I'm throwing up. When the corpsman on scene, the duty corpsman, helped me to my feet. My left arm was numb because he was holding me by my left arm, and I could tell I was slowly slipping and about to pass out. That was not fun. I would have had to have gotten the silver bullet, which for those who don't know what the silver bullet is whenever you especially in the military, whenever you pass out during any physical activity, the corpsman has to take your temperature.
Oh.
He has to they have to take your core temperature,
Oh.
and they can't do that through your mouth.
I feel like
So,
people can
silver
connect the
bullet?
dots there.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna finish it.
So
What? Sorry.
I didn't have heat exhaustion specifically, but I was close to hypothermic one day when I was at Northern Tier. We got stuck on a portage trail, which is a trail that people carry the canoes between lakes. We got stuck on one of those trails in a really bad thunderstorm, and the rain just... It was the type of downpour that would just soak through anything. And I don't. At one point, to try to entertain ourselves, we found another group that was across the lake from us. So to keep ourselves entertained, we would shout like scout songs to each other from across the lake, which was fun. But eventually, the downpour turned up, and so they retired deeper into their camp. And so we were just stuck on the portage trail, and that's about the time where I started kind of losing track of how long it was. I felt like I was on sitting on that portage trail for like 2.5 hours, when in reality it was probably like an hour at most. And it got to the point where the adults erected like a makeshift shelter to help get people out of the rain. And as I was standing underneath that shelter, and I was told after the fact, but I was told that when I was standing underneath that shelter, I was shaking so bad it looked like I was having a seizure standing up. And the trail guide for that noticed that and started getting me moving and like doing push-ups and stuff to get my blood flowing to keep me from going properly hypothermic, because hyper is overheating. But so I kind of relate to the way they're feeling, where it's just that timeless exhaustion. In a different sort, obviously. I was at the opposite end of the spectrum, but I get it, is what I'm saying, and I feel like they replicate that pretty well. Obviously, I've never had heat exhaustion, but yeah, I don't know. Random memory that just popped into my head. The
Yeah.
post. Pardon?
I was just agreeing with you.
The post for Little Bear Canyon also had a branching sign that pointed to the direction for TJ Coral, which was only a few miles from where we started at the Helid Cliff dwellings, if we walked along Route 15. Ian was heading in the right direction, and we were almost home free. In my excitement, I began calling to the others to let them know that the end was near. I looked around and shouted,
Jessica, Ian, Oliver, Heather, Amy, I know where we need to.
The words died on my lips as I counted the names and realized it wasn't over yet. The others kept moving as if they hadn't heard me talking. The imposter shuffled alongside us for once. It was easy to identify them. I don't know whether or not they had let down their guard after seeing our conditions, but this one was obvious. She moved slowly, but her movements didn't convey her exhaustion. Everyone else was sweating and looked like the walking dead. But she was fine. I waited for her to get close enough to follow the trail the others were going down before I raised Ian's walking stick and growled,
Turn around right fucking now. I can see you.
She turned around slowly, and I felt my heart skip a beat. She looked almost exactly like Jessica, except for a brown tinge in her hair. She could have been her twin. I knew what I was planning before it even... She could have been her twin. I knew what it was planning before it even opened its mouth and asked, "What are you doing, Evan?"
Don't call me that.
I winced. "What are you rambling about? Please move out of the way. We're almost safe from those things."
I know what you are.
Heather turned white at the realization. She began speaking quickly. "I'm not one of those things. Please, Evan, you have to remember, there were 6 of us. Those things want us to think there were only 5 so they can take one of us without the others caring. Those things don't want us all. They only want the weakest one. Please, let's go before they catch..."
Shut up.
I snapped. I raised the walking stick in my hand and brandished it at her. "Think about it, Evan. Do I move like one of those things? Do I speak like them? That should be enough to prove I'm human."
No. Ian's my brother. Jessica's his girlfriend.
"I'm your girlfriend. I sat on your lap on the car ride. Please don't kill me. Evan, I love you. Don't you remember? Evan, I love you." I lowered the stick that was in my hands as the memories bombarded me. I had met her one night when my brother forced me to go out to a club with him. Heather had been sitting at the bar all night drinking after a particularly bad week. It wasn't until she tried to stand up and fell into my arms that she actually talked. I remembered lazy Sundays in bed watching cheesy B sci-fi movies. I remember holding her close to me after making love and hearing her whisper sweet nothings into my ear. I remembered our life together. I rasped.
Heather, I'm so sorry. I didn't know.
She cooed. Evan, it's not your fault. She went to touch me and I sprang back, like I'd been bitten by a snake. The instant I heard those words, I knocked. The stick caught her unaware in the side of the face. I felt her jaw give way under the sudden force of my attack. She burbled through broken teeth. I love. The second strike dented her temple as the temporal bone shattered. She kept trying to talk, but it was too late and too much damage had been done. The door was shut to me now. I kept swinging the stick down on her head until it splintered and snapped. I looked up from her twitching body and saw my brother watching in horror.
Heather. Oh my god.
I spoke through gritted teeth and regarded him with red-rimmed eyes.
Come on, we have to go.
He went to keep talking, but I walked past him. I didn't want to explain it to him. He eventually ran ahead, invigorated with the prospect of finding rescue on the road. I looked behind me one last time. The last thing I saw was one of those things dragging away Heather's corpse. It looked emaciated and half mad with starvation. At that very moment, I wasn't afraid of the thing. I just felt pity. Whether or not it forced that emotion on me, I'll never know. I turned away and caught up with the others on Route 15. We were on the road for 15 minutes before we managed to flag down a car and an ambulance was called for us. Wait, but I thought he said everybody was dead.
I think it'll come around.
Alright.
Let's keep reading.
The doctor said that our prolonged exposure to the elements, combined with our starvation and dehydration, triggered the auditory and visual hallucinations we experienced. It's the typical response you'd be given after hearing our half-dead ramblings about creatures warping their flesh and our memories to drive us to the brink of death so they could prey on us when we were at our weakest. We spent almost a week there while receiving treatments, recounting our horrific experiences and the subsequent psych evaluations before we were released. At our discharge, the doctors told us how lucky we had been. Most people don't spend almost 10 days lost in the woods and live to tell the tale. I wanted to talk to the others about it. I know for a fact that I can only recall about 7 of those 10 days. Why do I have these massive gaps in my memories? Why do I sometimes remember things that never happened? Could never have happened. Why do I remember smelling wildflowers in my muddled memories? I tried to broach the topic with the others. Ian and Jessica refused to talk to me about it. They insist that this was a byproduct of the trauma, malnourishment, and sleep deprivation. It's not. I don't really know Oliver or Amy, so that's off the table too. They just want to forget. I refuse to forget. Here's the thing.
Alright, pause. Amy was never named until right at the end with
Amy was
Yeah.
never
Sign.
named until
So I
right
think
before he tried to kill his brother because he thought it was a Fleshgait. So I think Oliver's girlfriend was killed and replaced with Amy.
yes.
And it seems like we're getting into a revelation we potentially didn't notice. Here's the thing. I still remember Nadia asking me to help find her lighter. I recall staying up late and talking with her by the campfire while she smoked like a chimney. I can recite Jerry's terrible puns that he'd make about almost everything, and Lucas's determination at hiking this trail while slowly succumbing to the effects of multiple sclerosis. I can recall her whispering sweet nothings to Jessica under the glow of the full moon. I can still envision that moment clear as day, even months later. I know the conversation we had word for word. I can remember the feeling of her skin against mine and the smell of her hair as I pressed myself against her when I reached that one true moment of connectivity. I remember Heather pleading and begging me not to kill her. Despite writing this all months later, I can see all of those things clearly. Sometimes, late at night, I could even remember driving up to Gila National Park with Heather sitting in my lap, playfully grinding against me and telling me how fun our hike was going to be. Sometimes I think about that memory more than I should. Since I can't talk to my brother or Jessica about this, I had to find some other outlet. I guess I'm writing all this for one reason: catharsis. In the end, I keep wondering if what I did was right. Did I make the right choice? I want you to read this and tell me that I had no other option, that the risk of one of them escaping into the city forced my hand. I know that's not the case. I could have walked away or tried to scare her off, but I didn't. What kind of person can I look into someone's eyes, remember all the things they did and the life they had, and do what I did? Who can have all those memories and still beat someone to death? It doesn't matter if none of it's real, because in that moment, it was to me. Who can look at someone and feel such love for them before you kill them? The answer to that question is simple now that I ask myself out loud. I just don't like the answer.
Oh,
Evan.
shit.
Shit, he actually killed his.
I
you think?
don't think. Well,
Because he
I
just
guess
doesn't
it's
like.
up to the reader.
It sounds like he actually killed his girlfriend, and he just can't tell if he went insane or if. I don't know, man.
I definitely think it is up to reader interpretation, because
I
with
think.
with the way that all of them were talking, she was way too coherent.
Yeah, I agree.
But
She
I
also wasn't
she wasn't
Walking Dead.
named.
Yes, she also wasn't named. But here is a few theories that support both sides. One, she wasn't sweating. She wasn't walking like she was, exhausted,
Mhm.
basically Walking Dead. But since they alter memories,
True. And
Yeah.
that's why I understand where announcer's coming from, is because they almost tricked him into killing Ian. So
yes,
what's to say that he wasn't exhausted enough to where he could be tricked into killing Heather? I'd
also
also
true.
like to point out that Amy is 100% a Fleshgate.
And Oliver is
Yeah,
dead.
because she wasn't named.
She wasn't named, and really the only time she was introduced was right before he tried to kill Ian. So I think Amy's a Fleshgate. I can't say one way or the other whether or not he killed Heather. I get Well, I guess if I look at it from the narrative and the way that Evan's responding to this, kind of the last minute knife twist of the story, it would make sense that Heather was real, Amy's fake, because then it shows that the Fleshgates ultimately got what they wanted. Because it wasn't trying to. Because ultimately, the Fleshgates were trying to drive them crazy. Drive them to paranoia, to
Yeah,
fear, and then let that paranoia control them in order to do something drastic. And Evan was just the one that was drastic enough to be able to do what they wanted him to do. So I feel like
Yeah.
narratively it fits better with the Fleshgate's hunting strategy, that Heather was real, and they, because it seems like the Fleshgates aren't really that
Good.
physically pre- like strong. Like if they really wanted to,
yes.
they could beat the ever loving shit out of these things and walk away just fine. So
Um,
what if their hunting strategy is getting other people to do the dirty work for them, so that way they have just the easy pickings?
because
Which is what Heather mentioned.
here's another reason why I'm like it he actually had a girlfriend and is because none of them were mentioned um, being dragged away by the other one.
Well, it could
Even
be
even though
cannibalism.
it could be,
Any food's
but
good food, you know?
yeah, but at the same point, there's also like um, Heather fell like a person
Hmm.
when he pushed that other guy, or whatever. He had
It
the
like
skin in his
toppled over
hand
itself.
and toppled over, and then it instantly started squirming away because it knew it had been caught.
Yep. So yeah, the way that it was killed was definitely not as the way the Fleshgates reacted whenever they were caught. They acted
Yeah,
more. Yeah. Okay. So I personally, I think narratively,
It's all very interesting.
it
it
is
is.
all
It
very
is. This is
interesting, and we all would 100% be fucked because, like, I know Larry's pretty paranoid. And we would just spend all of our time arguing, and then the Fleshgate would sneak up behind us and kill us. So, like, I
yeah,
think we're
Mhm.
all,
As long as
I think all
Larry's
four
safe.
of us are cooked. So,
yeah.
and and I'm going to say this, and I know this is kind of weak to say because, like, whenever anybody encounters a good book or story, would this not kill as a movie?
It would.
You could
It would.
Dude,
play,
it so would.
you could play so much into, like, so imagine like they're all just sitting there, and then the scene cuts to like them talking, and you know how like whenever two characters are talking, like cuts back between the two, and so
Hmm.
one of the cuts, there's just another person sitting there.
Yeah.
I think though that you would have to not specify how many people are going on the hike to begin with.
True. I think I
You would
think it
have to
definitely
for the
should be from the start. Everybody's a suspect until you know who's not.
from the
Hmm.
beginning of the movie, you would have a lot of cuts. So like, and not even full scenes. Whenever someone's talking, like in the car ride, whenever someone's talking, you only go to that person's like face.
Yes, absolutely.
And
And I
then
think to
And
make it
and
even
then
better,
long
they
cuts,
take like a
like wide shots, and
I think
then
yeah.
there's like an inconsistent amount of people in the line. So sometimes there's four, there's five, there's seven, there's six, and then they just
Hmm.
shuffle all those scenes and then throw it into the movie. That would be so
And
cool.
so here is another small theory. So you notice how they were like yelping?
Hmm.
hmm,
They could have been disguising themselves as the wolves or like the coyotes,
I think that's what was
and that
implied.
was their food source.
yeah,
That was their what?
That was their food source.
Oh yeah, because they mentioned that the wolves were pretty rare in the area, and so it's possible that the
Hmm.
Fleshgates just hunted them all.
into like extinction. Well,
Hmm.
not extinction, but
Not to extinction, but to rarity.
yeah.
All
How
Um,
right.
many do you guys think would be there in this story?
I'd say at least
there
three.
had to be. Well, I have to say at least five.
I
Five?
think at least five is a good bet because whenever they would try and sleep, they would hear the sounds from all around them.
True. Yeah, so it's like a whole
Yeah,
pack,
and
and it says they're pretty frail. Like their skin's literally hanging off their body to the point where they can mold right
And
around them.
translucent.
Translucent. Yep.
also we have to account that a couple of them were injured. So probably by the end of this, three of them uninjured,
With one possibly dead.
maybe. Yeah.
Oh, no, I think this was by far the best story.
So this is where talking about what's good, what's bad, and all that stuff. This is where we get into the rankings. So I'm going to give what we currently have, and then we will place these three stories into it. Uh, Waifu, obviously, you're going to have a little bit harder of a time accurately placing these just because you weren't here for the first two episodes.
I think because of
But
that, I will head out early because I have to
Yep.
get up for work in 5 hours.
You do have work early, so we will let you go. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Feardromida, and I'll speak at least for myself. I'm very excited to have you on the podcast with us,
Thank you, thank you. I'm very excited to be here.
Me too.
and I hope everybody in the audience is excited too, because he's sticking around. We're not getting rid of him. We've already paid him, so
You ain't getting rid of him.
Lots of gay sex.
that's not what we pay him.
No,
He gets that enough in the
that's
Navy.
because I'm in
So.
the Navy. Yeah.
I was just clarifying because that's what you were making it sound like.
All right, you lads have a good one.
You too.
Night.
Night. So, announcer, before we wrap up this episode of Feardromida, the first story, Mothman, where do you think that should go? I think that should take 5th place.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
first off, it wasn't Mothman. Secondly, the story was okay, but it didn't have too much to work off of, and I might put it at.
Fleshgait is definitely.
No, I feel like I'd put it at 5th place. Let's start with Mothman. Let's just go in the order.
What places? What do we have? What?
Yeah, let me read off the ranking. So, in spot number 1, the Harbinger experiment. Spot number 2, the Russian sleep experiment. Spot number 3, the Rake. Spot number 4, Gateway of the Mind. Spot number 5, Tall, Thin, and Faceless.
Okay, I
And
wouldn't
spot
mind
number
putting-
6 is Jeff the Killer. I don't think any of these stories are going in 6.
No. We'll put.
I think
Oh my
Mothman
God.
should go above Tall, Thin, and Faceless.
Yeah, it's a good story. Definitely.
You cut out a little bit.
Fleshgate. Definitely not as much. I like it. I agree with 5th place placement, but Fleshgate definitely needs to go in a higher spot.
Yeah. Well, we're moving one at a time.
I know.
And now Anansi's Goatman story. I feel
Mhm.
I feel like 3rd place.
I didn't. I enjoyed it.
Could I argue 4th place?
Sure.
All right.
What's in 4th place?
4th
That's
place
the-
currently is Gateway of the Mind.
Yeah. but
I think
Gateway of the Mind.
I think Anansi's Goatman is really good. It had too much cussing, so that's why I wouldn't put it higher than 3rd. But
Yeah.
when it let the suspense build up, it let it build up really well.
It was good.
So.
It was good at it.
4th place, it is Anansi's Goatman.
Mm-hmm. And then Fleshgate.
2nd or 1st. I honestly would not complain if it made either.
We'll do 2nd. Just because I still enjoyed the Harbinger.
You just enjoyed the Harbinger experiment a little bit more.
A little bit more. Well, I wouldn't complain if this one's in 4th place. Jesus.
You mean
First
first
place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my thing too. Like I would not complain in either placement.
No.
I think it should go in 1st though.
I think so too.
Simply just because Harbinger experiment, it gripped us in a similar manner. However, with Fleshgate, we were stopping like every single time a new number, a new name, something like that was brought up, and we were comparing notes from previous in the story. So
Yeah.
for the first time in 3 videos, our current reigning champion is been dethroned. Harbinger experiment has been dropped, and Fleshgate is now the number
taking
one
the
spot.
spot.
Now, I don't think there is too much else to say. We got the first 3 videos done and hopefully up within a reasonable amount of time. And now we are going on to the standard rotation. So, with the addition of waifu, the rotation will go simply as announcer goes first, waifu goes second, and then I will go third. We will pick out a new horror story to read for that episode, and then we will just continue on ad infinitum until something happens. I don't know. We somehow get $1 bajillion and all hate each other and hire a bunch of mercenary groups to fight over the same gravel pit for eternity. I don't know.
That sounds awfully familiar.
Now. Well,
Good old Graveline.
that has been the 3rd episode of Feardromida. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, whenever you're out in the woods, sitting at your campfire light, just be a little more cautious. Check the smells, the sights, the same amount of people as you remember from the car ride up, and have a wonderful night. Goodbye, everybody.
Larry, you gotta say goodbye.
Yeah, come on, Larry.
God, Larry, you do this
Larry.
every episode.
I can't believe this, Larry.
Oh, he says that every time. He says that every time.
Every time. Honestly, Larry, I don't think you're right for the show. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Listen, you can't bring my mother into this. That's not fair. All right.
God,
Goodbye, Larry.
I hate to see Larry go.
Well, ultimately, what did he add to the podcast?
Not much.
Not much. Good night, everybody.